Some of the most intriguing clues about the ancient world are not found in grand palaces or famous pyramids, but in the quiet details that archaeologists almost overlook. A carved symbol repeated across centuries. A strangely shaped stone placed where no practical reason seems to exist. A forgotten structure buried beneath layers of soil, appearing in a place where no city was expected to stand. These fragments of the past rarely tell their story all at once. Instead, they whisper through patterns, alignments, and artifacts that refuse to fit neatly into the history we thought we understood. The deeper researchers dig, the more the ancient world begins to resemble a vast puzzle scattered across time. And sometimes the smallest discovery, a mark on stone, a hidden chamber, a forgotten carving, can reopen questions that have remained unanswered for thousands of years. Amid the arid Syrian desert, where scorching winds sweep across endless dunes and the sun seems to burn the horizon itself, the ruins of Palmyra still stand as a defiance against time. Though only broken columns, collapsed walls, and shattered gateways remain, Palmyra carries an uncanny allure, a city that once served as the greatest commercial crossroads of the ancient world, while hiding secrets that archaeology has yet to fully explain. Among all the monumental structures that once belonged to this city, the most striking, most intriguing, and most enigmatic is undoubtedly the Temple of Bel, the sanctuary considered the spiritual heart of Palmyra's people and the source of some of the most puzzling astronomical questions in modern archaeology. The Temple of Bel was not merely a religious building. It was a testament to the seamless fusion of Greek, Roman, Persian, and Semitic cultures, a repository of undeciphered ancient symbols, and above all, an architectural marvel infused with astronomical precision that continues to astonish scholars today. What do you think enabled the people of Palmyra to build an astronomical structure as astonishingly precise as the Temple of Bel Share? Your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. When ancient caravans first approached Palmyra after crossing the desert, they must have seen the silhouette of the Temple of Bel rising like a mirage against the fiery sky. The temple stood grand and imposing, with Corinthian columns stretching upward in perfect alignment. Yet its most impressive quality was not its size or craftsmanship, but the uncanny sense that it stood exactly where nature intended it to be. The Temple of Bel deviates neither half a degree from the solar axis, nor a few arc minutes from the astronomical cycle of the year. It seems almost fused with the movement of the heavens. Such precision raises the question, how could a civilization 2,000 years ago, living in harsh desert conditions and lacking modern observational tools, construct a monument with astronomical calibration so precise it borders on unsettling? Archaeology has attempted to explain this phenomenon. Some theories suggest that the people of Palmyra used sunlight and rudimentary surveying methods similar to the Egyptians aligning their pyramids. But the accuracy achieved at the Temple of Bel far surpasses anything rudimentary. Modern researchers measuring the surviving foundations found that the temple's main axis nearly aligns with sunrise on the first day of spring, a moment marking the equilibrium between day and night. At other key times of the year, sunlight shines directly through the temple's entrance or onto specific walls, creating bright, intentional lines as if programmed into the architecture itself. This has led many scholars to believe that the Temple of Bel served not only as a religious sanctuary, but also as a colossal astronomical calendar, helping Palmyrans determine agricultural seasons, ceremonial dates, and even the trading cycles of caravans traveling along the ancient silk routes. Even more mystifying is the level of sophistication behind this alignment. Not only is the temple's axis aligned with the sun, but its columns, doorways, and certain carved symbols correspond to celestial positions. Though much of the Palmyrene Aramaic script has been weathered away, the surviving fragments hint that the Palmyrans observed bright stars, such as Aldebaran or Regulus, to track the yearly cycle. Star-shaped patterns found repeatedly on key stones suggest the temple may once have been the center of an advanced astronomical knowledge system in the ancient Near East. Yet the mystery deepens. Palmyra was not primarily an agricultural civilization. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, they had little need for complex astronomical calendars tied to farming. Why then did they invest in a temple whose astronomical sophistication exceeded practical necessity? Did they follow a cosmological belief system linked to the workings of the universe? Was Bel their supreme deity, more than a divine figure, perhaps a representation of cosmic order itself? Venturing deeper into the temple complex reveals details that multiply the mysteries. In certain ritual chambers, sunlight penetrates the interior only once a year, functioning like an astronomical lock that activates at a precise celestial moment. Elsewhere, the shadows cast by columns form specific markers that may have been used to count days between solar positions. Grooves carved in fixed orientations across the stone floors suggest tools for tracking the tilt of sunlight through seasonal cycles. Recent studies even propose that the Temple of Bel might have been designed to observe the moon as well as the sun, an unusually advanced capability for a Near Eastern religious structure. If true, this implies that the Palmyrans possessed a sophisticated lunisolar calendar requiring extreme precision to synchronize rituals spanning the entire year. But beyond architectural marvels lies the bigger question: how did the people of Palmyra understand the sun's shifting trajectory relative to the horizon changes that vary with geographic latitude? They had no telescopes, no tools to measure Earth's axial tilt, no advanced Greek celestial maps. Yet they built a temple whose precision implies long-term observation and deep knowledge of light's micro-movements over the courses of a year. This has led to a bold hypothesis. Perhaps Palmyra once housed a class of professional priest astronomers who observed the sky over generations, recording patterns and accumulating a body of knowledge that later vanished when the city declined. Fragmentary surviving texts hint at priests guiding rituals based on signs from the sky. But what were those signs? The question still hangs over the desert like a suspended enigma. Perhaps the most tragic reason the Temple of Bel remains a mystery is that much of the data needed to decipher it no longer exists. Modern destruction erased essential details, including walls containing celestial inscriptions and stones that may have documented ancient astronomical methods. Some researchers believe that if these symbols had survived, we might now understand Palmyra's ancient scientific system far better. But among the cracked ruins, all that remains are void, silent gaps in history that generate countless hypotheses, yet no definitive answers. Today, visitors to the desolate sanctuary see only broken columns casting shadows on scorching sand. Yet, at the right spot, at the right time of year, a single ray of sunlight still slips through a crevice and illuminates the area once deemed most sacred. That moment feels like an echo of the past, a quiet message that the Temple of Bel has not relinquished its soul. Its essence remains tied to the sky, to the sun, to the cosmic rhythms humanity has only partially understood. Palmyra may be a ruin, but its mysteries endure, and the Temple of Bel, with its astonishing astronomical architecture, continues to stand in the desert as a riddle that refuses to be solved, a challenge to human intellect, reminding us that our understanding of the ancient world may be only the surface of a far deeper realm of knowledge, now swallowed by sand and sunlight in this harsh land. Located in the highlands of the Peruvian Andes, the Moray circular agricultural terraces have long stood as one of the most perplexing constructions for archaeologists, climatologists, and researchers of ancient engineering, perhaps more baffling than any other site left behind by the Inca Empire. In what appears at first glance to be just a barren, rocky valley, the Inca created massive concentric circles layered like inverted volcanic craters, with each tier capable of generating surprisingly precise and distinct climatic conditions. Moray is not merely a beautiful landscape or an ordinary terracing system. Many scholars believe it was the most advanced open-air agricultural laboratory of the Inca civilization, where thousands of plant varieties were tested to adapt to the harsh climates of the Andes. But what elevates Moray beyond thousands of other archaeological sites is its central mystery. To what extent did the Inca understand microclimates, and how were they able to create such finely calibrated temperature variations? What do you think the Inca might have known or mastered in order to create such astonishingly precise microclimates at Moray? Share your thoughts in the comments below. At Moray, each circular level is not just a raised bed for planting. It is a miniature climate zone, engineered so that the lowest tier can be up to 15 degrees Celsius warmer than the uppermost tier. Within a space of only a few hundred meters, the Inca simulated climate conditions, ranging from tropical Amazonian humidity to the freezing peaks of the Andes. The bowl-shaped terracing layout is anything but random. It regulates wind direction, absorbs sunlight, stores heat, retains moisture, and distributes humidity in ways that modern climatologists still model using three-dimensional simulation tools. No written Inca records survive to describe how Moray was designed, and this absence of documentation creates an even larger mystery. What level of knowledge did they possess regarding climate thermodynamics, geology, and agriculture? Viewed from above, Moray resembles a massive climate measuring device, an architectural feat that in modern times would require engineers, meteorologists, and agricultural scientists working together. Yet the Inca had no wheels, no steel tools, and no precise instruments for measuring temperature or humidity. Even so, they built a structure that functioned perfectly for centuries. The heat at the bottom of the terraces is retained by the stone walls and terraced design, acting like a natural greenhouse. Sunlight absorbed during the day is slowly released at night, stabilizing temperatures for crops. The strong highland winds are redirected as they enter the basin, creating soft, predictable air circulation. Moisture is regulated through layers of soil that archaeologists, upon excavation, found to be arranged in distinct strata clay, gravel, sand, forming a natural system of thermal and water regulation. This leads to the greatest question of all. Did the Inca truly understand all the climatic phenomena they were manipulating, or did they achieve perfection through generations of trial and error? There is no answer yet, as Moray shows no signs of randomness. On the contrary, its geometric precision makes all coincidence theories improbable. The concentric circles are nearly perfect. The slope of each terrace is optimized to receive sunlight at different seasons, and none of the soil layers have eroded after hundreds of years. This requires knowledge that modern students of meteorology would recognize immediately. Solar absorption rates, convection heat, dissipation soil, conductivity, wind density, stratification. How could a civilization, without widespread writing or scientific instruments, grasp these principles? No one knows. Even stranger is Moray's drainage system. Despite its bow-like structure, something that should trap water after every heavy rain, Moray never floods, never accumulates standing water, even through the intense, rainy seasons of the Andes. This implies the existence of a highly sophisticated underground drainage network. When archaeologists dug deeper, they found layers of gravel and stone, but could not determine the path the water takes, as if the Inca intentionally hid the mechanism. Why would they do this? Was it to protect a national agricultural secret, or was Moray a ceremonial structure designed with philosophical principles of harmony with nature, understood only by priestly elites? Some modern scholars believe that Moray may have been used to test thousands of crop varieties, selecting those best suited to the highlands. This could explain how Inca agriculture supported millions of people despite lacking advanced metal tools. They turned nature itself into a laboratory, and Moray was its central apparatus. Yet the fact that Moray can generate distinct microclimates still astonishes scientists. Digital modeling confirms that the temperature gradient between the lowest and highest terrace is not accidental, but the result of meticulous calculations involving solar direction, slope angle, terrace width, natural wind channels, and subsoil material distribution. Even modern engineers would require months of computer modeling to design something comparable. This raises a profound thought. If the Inca could understand microclimates so deeply, what other knowledge might they have possessed that we have not yet discovered? Could Moray have been just one of several research centers, with only this one surviving well enough for study? Some researchers propose a bold hypothesis. The Inca may have developed a sophisticated system of empirical climate observation transmitted orally over generations, and accurate enough to predict and model micro-weather patterns in individual valleys and mountain pockets. Such knowledge seems to have vanished almost entirely after the Spanish conquest. Additionally, the unusual acoustic resonance at the central pit of Moray leads some to suspect that it was not solely an agricultural research facility. When someone stands at the center and speaks, their voice echoes in an unusual, almost ceremonial manner, as if the structure were designed for rituals or communication. But whether this effect was intentional or simply a byproduct of the architecture remains unproven. No definitive evidence confirms either interpretation. The layered mysteries surrounding Moray make it a powerful symbol of Inca ingenuity, a civilization that treated nature not as an obstacle, but as a collaborator. Their ability to control climate on a local scale reflects not only profound understanding, but also an extraordinary design philosophy, a harmony among shape, placement, and function. Together, these elements form a structure that, no matter how much we study it, continues to reveal only fragments of the wisdom behind it. Today, as modern climate and agricultural systems struggle with global climate change, Moray stands as inspiration for sustainable adaptation. An ancient research center with no machines yet capable of results comparable to modern laboratories. This is astonishing, and it forces us to admit that the Incas' understanding of nature may have been far deeper than what modern science once assumed. And at this point, the greatest mystery of Moray resurfaces. How did the Inca perceive and manipulate microclimates? Without written documents, diagrams, or measurement tools, they accomplished what should have been impossible. Until this question is answered, Moray will remain one of the most intellectually challenging constructions of the pre-modern world. The Wari Pikillacta grid city stands as one of the most enigmatic and architecturally disciplined ancient settlements in the Andes, a place where the precision of urban planning, the mystery of an abandoned metropolis, and the remarkable achievements of a pre-Inca empire converge into a single, unfathomable story. Pikillacta, located in the Cusco region of Peru, represents one of the clearest demonstrations that the Wari civilization possessed an extraordinary level of organization, technological understanding, and centralized control centuries before the rise of the Inca. What do you think enabled the Wari people to build such a perfectly planned and deeply mysterious grid city like Pikillacta? Share your thoughts in the comments below. When approaching Pikillacta, what immediately captures attention is its rigid grid layout, long straight streets cutting across each other at almost perfect right angles, dividing the city into rectangular blocks that defy the organic terrain following patterns typical of most ancient Andean settlements. This geometric order is so deliberate and consistent that it resembles the blueprint of a modern administrative district rather than a city more than 1,000 years old. The uniformity seen in the hundreds of small rectangular rooms and compounds adds to the impression that Pikillacta was built for systemic, not domestic purposes, an organized center meant for governance, ritual gatherings, or imperial supervision rather than daily civilian life. There is minimal evidence of long-term habitation, such as cooking areas, household debris, or everyday tools, suggesting that the city may have been ceremonial or administrative, used seasonally, temporarily, or exclusively by elites of the Wari state. Yet among all these mysteries, none is as astonishing nor as revealing as Pikillacta's sophisticated hydraulic system. More than any other element, the canals, reservoirs, and water management infrastructure demonstrate that the Wari possessed a profound understanding of hydrology, environmental control, and landscape engineering, far surpassing what is typically associated with pre-Inca cultures. The region around Pikillacta is semi-arid, with water availability varying drastically throughout the year. To support a city of this scale, even one used intermittently, the Wari needed a reliable way to regulate, store, and distribute water. What archaeologists discovered was not a simple network of irrigation channels, but rather a meticulously engineered system with multiple layers of function. Canals were constructed to intercept and redirect seasonal flows from the Luca Basin, guiding water across the plateau with precise gradients that would prevent overflow, stagnation, or erosion. Reservoirs carved and walled with stone served as stabilizing chambers capable of storing substantial volumes of water for later release, ensuring a controlled and predictable supply. These features indicate more than agricultural intent. They suggest urban water planning at a level comparable to organized states known for infrastructure, something rarely attributed to Andean societies of that era. What deepens the intrigue is how these hydraulic installations integrate seamlessly with Pikillacta's overall layout. Streets, compounds, and retaining walls align with the water channels in a manner that suggests the entire city was conceived as a unified system. Urban planning and hydraulic engineering developed together from the outset. This challenges previous assumptions that ancient Andean cities evolved gradually. Pikillacta appears instead to have been designed and executed as a complete architectural vision. The precision required to maintain consistent slopes for water flow over long distances is especially noteworthy considering the Wari lacked metal tools comparable to those of old-world civilizations. How they measured elevation, how they calculated flow speed, and how they ensured structural stability across varying terrain remain unanswered questions. Some scholars propose advanced surveying techniques or standardized measurement units, while more speculative theories suggest ritual knowledge or lost engineering methods unique to the Wari. Compounding the mystery is the fact that many of Pikillacta's architectural components and possibly even parts of its water system were left unfinished. Construction abruptly halted, leaving walls incomplete and surfaces rough, implying that something sudden and irreversible interrupted the grand project. Whether it was political collapse, social upheaval, epidemic drought, or a shift in the Wari's imperial strategy remains unknown. The incompleteness of the city raises another question. Was the hydraulic system fully functional at any point, or was it an ambitious but unrealized plan? Yet even unfinished, the scale and precision of the system testify to a vision far beyond ordinary settlement needs. The imposing perimeter walls, reaching heights of more than 7 meters, also add another layer of ambiguity. They appear defensive, yet no evidence of battles, fortifications, or military occupation has been uncovered. Combined with the waterworks, the symmetry of the layout, and the repetitive architecture, some researchers interpret Pikillacta as a kind of ceremonial engineered landscape, possibly used for ritual processions, imperial gatherings, or state-controlled ceremonial events where water played a symbolic or purifying role. Others suggest that the hydraulic system might have been essential for agricultural terraces or experimental cultivation, though such evidence remains limited. The absence of burial sites, the lack of household remains, and the highly regulated design imply controlled access and centralized authority, a place where the Wari exercised power through space water and architectural order. Perhaps Pikillacta functioned as a regional administrative hub, coordinating resources and labor for the surrounding valleys, with its water system serving as both a practical and symbolic demonstration of authority. Water, after all, was one of the most powerful instruments of control in ancient societies. Ultimately, the true purpose of Pikillacta and its impressive hydraulic network remains an open question, suspended between practical engineering and ceremonial design. What is certain is that this pre-Inca city defies simplistic explanation. It reveals a Wari civilization far more advanced, organized, and technically capable than previously assumed, a culture that mastered terrain, commanded water, imposed geometric order on the landscape, and built with an ambition that continues to puzzle researchers today. Pikillacta stands not merely as ruins, but as a silent blueprint of a civilization whose knowledge, intentions, and innovations are still only partially understood. Its canals and reservoirs, the heart of its mystery, remain one of the greatest achievements of ancient Andean engineering, an enduring testament to the ingenuity of a people whose legacy shaped the empires that followed. The Ishibutai megalithic tomb has long been regarded as one of Japan's most astonishing ancient stone structures, a monument that carries the solemn presence of a royal tomb, while concealing technical mysteries far beyond what is known about the Asuka period. Standing for more than a millennium, this massive structure rises in the Asuka Valley like a challenge to archaeologists. How could people in the 6th century construct such a colossal stone chamber, built from dozens of unimaginably heavy stones, arranged with perfect precision without the use of any binding material? What truly sets Ishibutai apart from most Kofun structures, elevating it into a category of its own, is the profound mystery surrounding the method used to transport its gigantic stones, an unanswered question that has persisted despite decades of academic inquiry. In your opinion, what method do you think ancient people used to transport those massive multi-ton stones to the Asuka region to build the Ishibutai megalithic tomb? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. It is known that the structure was built from about 30 granite blocks, with the two largest ones weighing more than 70 tons each, and the entire structure surpassing a total weight of over 2,300 tons, figures unprecedented among Japanese tombs of the era. But the mystery begins with the very nature of the stone. Granite does not occur naturally in Asuka. This means every stone had to be transported from distant locations, possibly tens of kilometers away, across rugged and uneven terrain. Yet no traces of tools, historical records, or archaeological evidence reveal what technologies or methods were used to move such massive stones. If traditional wooden rollers were used, the amount of timber required would have been enormous and inconsistent with the vegetation of the Asuka region. If livestock, such as oxen, were used, their pulling strength would have been insufficient to drag the stones uphill. If the stones were transported by raft along waterways, there is no evidence of any river system connecting to the area. The total absence of clues leads many scholars to believe that the transportation method employed at Ishibutai was an ancient, now lost technique, possibly a combination of multiple methods or some primitive system of levers and pulleys we have never seen. Some researchers even suggest that the Asuka people may have used methods similar to those of other megalithic civilizations around the world, such as building long earthen ramps, spreading sand to reduce friction, or using water to create slippery surfaces. Yet all of these remain speculative, as no geological or archaeological signs confirm these theories. This absolute mystery has made the stone transportation question the centerpiece of all discussions surrounding Ishibutai for many years. Some hypotheses even go beyond conventional archaeology, proposing that the Asuka people possessed a level of mechanical knowledge far more advanced than recorded, or perhaps inherited a form of soft technology from a pre-Asuka civilization, much like what is believed to have occurred with many other megalithic sites worldwide. Although unverified, the high precision with which the stones were arranged, comparable to megalithic structures in Europe, has led many scholars to believe that the Asuka builders may have achieved a degree of mathematical and organizational sophistication far beyond historical expectations. Inside the tomb, the stone chamber extends nearly 20 meters with two large sections, forming a T-shaped layout assembled entirely through the weight and skillful shaping of flat stone surfaces. Without binding agents, without locking mechanisms, the entire structure has remained intact for more than 14 centuries, despite Japan's frequent earthquakes. This raises a striking question. How did they understand such advanced principles of gravitational balance? Modern engineers who have attempted to simulate the structure have discovered that if any stone in the ceiling were misaligned by even a few centimeters, the entire chamber would collapse. This is not mere craftsmanship. It reflects a highly advanced understanding of structural engineering. Another intriguing aspect is that the tomb contains no grave goods or human remains whatsoever. According to tradition, it was the burial place of Soga no Umako, a powerful figure of the Asuka period. But if it truly belonged to such an influential individual, why is there not a single surviving artifact? Was the tomb looted long ago, or was it never used as a burial site at all, serving instead as a stone altar? This question becomes even more fascinating when considering its name, Ishibutai meaning stone stage, prompting many scholars to propose that the structure may have been multifunctional, both a tomb and a ceremonial or political ritual site. Originally, Ishibutai was not an exposed stone structure as it appears today. It was covered by a rectangular mound of earth, built in multiple levels, resembling a flat-stepped pyramid, an uncommon type of Kofun architecture. Constructing a multi-layered mound required exceptional planning capabilities, demonstrating that the Asuka people possessed a high level of organizational coordination, capable of mobilizing hundreds of workers under a hierarchical labor structure. As erosion gradually removed the earthen mound, leaving behind only the stone skeleton, the megalithic nature of the monument finally emerged, securing Ishibutai's place as one of East Asia's most remarkable stone relics. The Asuka region, where Ishibutai is located, hosts numerous other enigmatic features, such as unusually carved stones, boulder formations shaped like turtles or boats, and peculiar stone machines that local residents have long struggled to explain. Many scholars believe the entire area may have once been a ceremonial center of an ancient culture, one that applied advanced knowledge of astronomy, geography, and architecture with remarkable precision. Some modern studies suggest that the orientation of the Ishibutai chamber corresponds to the sunrise and sunset during key points of the year, similar to astronomical alignments found in Western megalithic sites like Stonehenge. Though not conclusively proven, such correlations strengthen the hypothesis that the people of Asuka possessed sophisticated astronomical knowledge now lost to time. All these elements combine to make the Ishibutai megalithic tomb a monument that embodies both archaeological importance and an enduring aura of mystery. It is not merely a tomb. It is a testament to the ancient world's ability to conquer physical challenges with limited resources. And it leaves behind one of the most profound, unanswered questions of all: how did they transport stones weighing tens of tons across many kilometers to construct a megalithic masterpiece that has withstood the ages? This mystery, more than any other aspect, forms the very essence of Ishibutai's intrigue, making it one of Japan's most captivating ancient sites, and a place that continually reminds us that ancient technology may still hold countless secrets beyond what we imagine today. The Geghard rock-cut monastery, hidden within the rocky Kotayk Valley of Armenia, has long been one of the most astonishing and perplexing structures to archaeologists. Its mystery lies not only in its age dating from the 12th to 13th century, but also in its unique nature, a monastery that seems to emerge from within the mountain itself, carved entirely into solid rock, to form a complex of churches, ritual halls, shrines, corridors, and underground chambers. Among the mysteries surrounding Geghard, the most breathtaking is undeniably its stone-carving technique that far surpasses its era, a skill so advanced that even with modern machinery, replicating such precision would be extremely difficult. With its advanced stone-carving techniques and a structure that seems to emerge directly from the mountain itself, what do you think enabled ancient builders to create a monastery as extraordinary as Geghard? Share your thoughts in the comments below. From the moment one steps into Geghard, it becomes instantly clear that this monastery is unlike any other medieval structure. There are no brick walls, no traditional construction joints. Instead, the entire monastery appears as if it were sculpted from a single massive block of stone, a completely monolithic architectural form with no seams, no modular assembly. This raises a profound question. How could people 7 or 8 centuries ago carve so deeply into basalt rock, as hard as steel, creating perfectly symmetrical vaults, majestic pillars, and massive chambers without leaving a single geometric flaw? Modern studies show that the stone in the Geghard region is extremely dense and hard, requiring tremendous mechanical force to manipulate. Yet ancient records mention no specialized metal tools capable of penetrating such monolithic stone. This has led many scholars to propose that the builders possessed a highly advanced technique of carving, grinding, and cutting stone that has since been lost, similar to debates about ancient Egyptian structures or Petra. Some specialists even compare Geghard with Ajanta and Ellora in India, also rock-cut complexes, and speculate on whether some forgotten exchange of knowledge once connected these civilizations. Remarkably, the interior surfaces of Geghard are perfectly flat and straight, without the rugged texture typical of crude chiseling. The edges are flawlessly rounded, the vaulted ceilings precisely sculpted, so precise that even a deviation of a few degrees would destroy the symmetry. In many chambers, the ceiling forms complex domes with finely raised stone ribs, making the space resemble a cathedral built from carefully assembled stone blocks, though in reality it was carved from the inside out. Achieving this would be nearly impossible without pre-calculating the structure using detailed 3D modeling comparable to modern technology. On closer inspection, one can find hundreds of motif symbols and Armenian kachkars carved directly into the rock walls. Their precision is astonishing: hair-thin grooves, consistent depth, and perfect balance in design. Archaeologists agree that producing such refinement on dense stone without modern tools is an achievement far beyond the manual skill level expected of the medieval era. This further fuels the hypothesis that ancient artisans either possessed some unknown advanced tools or used a controversial stone softening method that has also been suggested in discussions of other ancient megastructures. Yet Geghard's mystery extends beyond stone-cutting techniques. It also lies in the complexity of its internal structure. The monastery contains multiple levels with underground chambers interlocked like a maze. Some corridors are so narrow that only one person can pass through, while large halls suddenly open up with ceilings several tens of meters high. To carve rooms that align perfectly straight, perpendicular, and symmetrical without viewing the structure from the outside is nearly unimaginable in a time without construction, compasses, 3D projections, or positioning systems. Many experts admit that achieving such accuracy without deviation seems almost supernatural. Some theories suggest that Geghard was carved gradually from the outside inward. However, this is contradicted by several chambers that could only have been carved from the inside outward, meaning the entire plan had to be conceptualized in full before carving even began. There was no room for mistakes. A single misaligned strike would ruin the entire layout. Visualizing such a complex structure purely through spatial reasoning contradicts what we know about medieval architects, who typically worked with two-dimensional plans. Moreover, some chambers in Geghard produce mysterious acoustic effects, layered echoes, deep resonance, and shifting tone, depending on where one stands. Gregorian chants inside these rock-cut rooms sound as if sung by invisible choirs. Acoustic specialists note that modern simulation software is required to engineer such perfect resonance, yet Geghard achieves it with natural rock and medieval craftsmanship. This raises the question: did the builders possess deep acoustic knowledge, or was the monastery shaped through generations of experimentation, or perhaps an ancient science now lost once existed to guide such construction? Geghard's location also contributes to its aura of mystery. The monastery is enclosed by sheer cliffs, forming a naturally fortified landscape. The choice of site appears intentional, serving both defensive and spiritual purposes. Some researchers believe the area sits on a geological energy line, making Geghard a power point. Armenian folklore claims that those with impure intentions feel weighed down upon entering, while the sincere experience a sense of openness and lightness. The name Geghard derives from the holy spear, the spear of destiny, said to have been kept here. Although the spear is no longer housed at the site, its legend remains entwined with the monastery, leading many to believe that Geghard was not merely a monastic complex, but a ceremonial and spiritual stronghold entrusted with protecting divine relics. Inside the monastery, a natural spring flows directly from the rock, a sacred source believed to possess healing powers. Puzzlingly, this spring does not connect to any visible external water system, making it a geological anomaly. For centuries, pilgrims have drawn this water, convinced it was a gift from celestial forces. All these elements, the advanced rock-cutting techniques, surreal acoustics, labyrinthine inner design, geomantic placement, sacred relic traditions, and unexplained sacred spring, combine to make Geghard one of the most extraordinary ancient monuments in the world. Every step through the monastery challenges our modern understanding, reminding us that the past may hold knowledge far beyond what we currently grasp. Geghard is not merely a monastery, it is a testament to a level of technical and spiritual mastery unseen in its age. A structure carved from stone with impossible precision, blending engineering with mysticism. And through that union, it remains a living mystery that continues to defy explanation. The Asuka stone boat monument, also known as Ishibutai, has long stood as one of the enigmas that challenge Japanese archaeology. Situated in the ancient land of Asuka, once the center of political, religious, and cultural influence in Japan during the 7th century, this colossal stone boat exists as a strange fragment that fits into no known architectural ritual or technical system understood today. The massive stone, weighing tens of tons and stretching more than 10 meters in length, stands like an unfinished structure. Yet it carries traces of craftsmanship so refined that they seem to surpass the capabilities of the tools available during the Asuka period. When one looks at it, one does not simply see a strange artifact, one sees an unanswered question, a structure that appears to arise from a technical mindset entirely different from the historical context in which it belongs. In your opinion, what was the true purpose of the Asuka stone boat monument? An astronomical device, a ritual structure, or evidence of a lost ancient technology? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The first striking feature is its shape resembling an overturned boat, carved from a large stone block with impossibly flat surfaces, deep grooves, and sharp edges. No ancient documents mention this structure. No text describes its purpose. There are no signs of religious use, no ashes, no grave goods, and no traces of ritual activity. It is not a tomb, not a temple foundation, not a water system, nor does it align with any known architectural style of ancient Japan. Its total anonymity makes it a perfect mystery, a creation suspended between history and myth, yet not fully belonging to either world. But what shocks researchers most is not its shape, but its craftsmanship. The stone surfaces of the Asuka stone boat monument are so flat that it is difficult to believe they were created using the crude iron tools of the 7th century. The grooves that run along the boat are sharp and uniform, with an uncanny consistency in depth. The straight cuts resemble those made by mechanical saws or high-precision tools, rather than the chisels of antiquity. Many researchers have admitted that this level of refinement appears to exceed the technical standards of the Asuka period, which is known for elaborate wooden structures and temples, but not for finely carved stoneworks of this nature. The perfectly square corners and machine-like flat surfaces raise a question. Are we underestimating the abilities of the ancients? Or did a forgotten form of technology once exist that has since disappeared from history. The grooves on the stone's surface are not random. They show deliberate planning and clear composition. Some grooves run along the full length of the stone, while others cut across it, resembling measurements for assembly systems or perhaps even astronomical observation tools. Some independent researchers have proposed that this structure may have functioned as a primitive shadow measuring instrument, using the direction of the grooves and their angles to determine equinox dates or to mark the sun's path during ritual events. However, this hypothesis remains speculative because there is no direct archaeological evidence to support it. The precision of these cuts becomes even more baffling when compared with other stone artifacts from the same region. Asuka is known for mysterious megaliths, like Masuda no Iwafune, a gigantic 800-ton stone with 2 perfect square holes, or Sakafuneshi, with its complex channel system resembling an ancient water purification device. Yet these structures share similar craftsmanship characteristics: rough surfaces, heavy chisel marks, and forceful carving techniques. In contrast, the Asuka stone boat monument displays a radically different level of refinement: smoother surfaces, sharper edges, and exceptionally clean grooves. If Masuda no Iwafune is mysterious for its massive size, then the stone boat is mysterious for its unreasonable precision. Researchers struggle to place it accurately within the timeline of Japanese technical development. Some archaeologists believe this is merely an unfinished project abandoned when craftsmen or patrons were interrupted. Was it a stone draft for a larger monument? A foundation for a royal ritual that was never completed yet? If it were only a draft, why are the cuts so precise? Why invest so much effort in creating perfectly smooth surfaces at such an early stage? Archaeological drafts typically appear rough and quick, meant merely for practice, whereas the stone boat reveals considerable time and expertise. This weakens the unfinished hypothesis. Another theory suggests it might be linked to the Asuka royal court, particularly during the era of Prince Shotoku Taishi, when Buddhism, astronomy, and continental influences from Korea and China flowed into Japan. Perhaps it was part of a ceremonial or cosmological system, with political and spiritual implications. However, like other hypotheses, there are no ritual traces, no ashes, no offerings, no pottery, no decorative patterns. It is both too refined to be useless, yet shows no signs of use. Another line of analysis focuses on the location itself. Asuka was where new ideas from Asia arrived and mixed with local traditions. It was a testing ground for architects, artisans, monks, and scholars from across the continent. If there was ever a place in ancient Japan that experimented with advanced or unusual techniques, Asuka was that place. Yet strangely, no second structure with similar characteristics has been found in the region, making the stone boat technically isolated, like a sudden mutation that appeared and then vanished from the historical record. Modern researchers using 3D modeling and laser scanning suggest the monument may have required an extremely sophisticated cutting process involving multiple specialized tools, grooving tools, surface grinders, and angled chisels. However, all such tools do not exist in the archaeological record of 7th century Japan. No large saws, no evidence of high-grade metal tools, no mechanism explaining such precision. This leads to a larger question. Are we misunderstanding Asuka-era capabilities, or did they employ techniques for which no evidence survives? This historical gap makes the monument a symbol of lost technology. Finally, the stone boat's presence among the mysterious Asuka stones raises the possibility that an entire specialized stone-working tradition may once have existed only to disappear without leaving clear traces. Since the region contains multiple unexplained structures, This theory is not implausible. Yet until more evidence emerges, the monument remains silent, like a reminder that some mysteries in history are not merely buried, but broken off from context, preventing full understanding. Today, the Asuka stone boat monument continues to attract archaeologists, historians, and enthusiasts of ancient mysteries. Even after more than a millennium, the stone retains its unusual sharpness, defying time and challenging modern imagination. One can explain many things about Asuka's culture, art, and religion, but before the stone boat, all explanations fall short. The Asuka stone boat monument is not just an artifact. It is a question about technique, purpose, history, and the possibilities of ancient humans that we may have yet to fully grasp. And until new discoveries shed light on it, the stone boat will continue to lie quietly in ancient Asuka, a mystery waiting to be retold endlessly in the archaeological world. On the gentle hills of southern Corsica, where Mediterranean winds have blown for millennia and left their marks on every rock, the Filitosa statue, menhir sanctuary, appears as a place beyond time. A realm where the boundary between legend and archaeology becomes strangely blurred. The most astonishing feature, and the key that opens countless unanswered questions, is the presence of stone statues, statumen, hires carved more than 8,000 years ago. At a time when humans were still living in pre-agricultural communities and struggling daily against a harsh natural world, creating statues with clear human shapes, fully defined body parts, and even weapons belts and helmets was far beyond what science once believed Stone Age people were capable of. These statues are not simple products of spontaneous creativity by an ancient tribe, but sophisticated works of art, shaped with impressive precision, deeply carved and accurate eyes, naturally raised noses, straight and sharp weapon lines with uniform depth, as if made by tools capable of extremely fine force control. The smoothness of the stone surfaces shows that ancient people mastered a technique for grinding granite, one of the hardest rocks, in a way that remains difficult to fully explain today. What do you think could explain the advanced techniques displayed on the statue menhirs, carved with remarkable precision more than 8,000 years ago? Did ancient people possess a type of tool or stone polishing method that we have yet to discover? Or did they hold a special system of knowledge that has disappeared over time? Or perhaps we are simply underestimating the abilities, creativity, and sophistication of prehistoric humans. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Entering the sanctuary, visitors often feel as though they are walking among giant warriors turned to stone. Each menhir seems to possess its own personality, its own story, as if once representing powerful or sacred figures within ancient communities. This leads to a core question. Why would a primitive society invest such motivation, time, and effort into creating stone human figures so refined? Were they replicating images of ancestors, legendary heroes, or invisible beings they believed were protecting the land? Another theory suggests that the menhirs served as sacred guardians, placed strategically to defend the community from hostile forces or rival groups. Whatever the case, the purpose of these carvings clearly extends beyond decoration. They relate to belief systems, authority, and a connection to ancestral origins that we have not yet deciphered. The mystery does not end there. Filitosa is one of the few places in the world where a forest of menhirs exists with a density and quantity that astonishes archaeologists. Why does this particular region contain so many stone human statues? Could this have been a major ceremonial center of an ancient culture, a place where communities came to worship, offer rituals, and engrave their memories into stone. Some evidence suggests that ancient Filitosa people did not only erect single statues, but arranged them in groups along pathways and even oriented them toward the sunrise, raising theories that they may be connected to early astronomy or seasonal cycles. Before modern science, many ancient civilizations used large stones to mark time seasons and important celestial events. The deliberate alignment of menhirs at Filitosa may very well indicate a deep understanding of the skylight and the movement of the cosmos. Another layer of meaning emerges with the arrival of the Taurayans, a culture that appeared thousands of years later. They destroyed many earlier menhirs, breaking them and burying them deep underground, then reusing the fragments to build defensive structures. This destructive act raises several controversial questions. Did they destroy the statues in an attempt to erase the cultural remnants of a predecessor, or were they afraid of the statues' spiritual power, viewing them as threats that needed to be sealed away? Some archaeologists believe the Taurayans seized control of the sanctuary by eliminating the symbols of a rival culture. Ironically, this act of destruction helped preserve many menhirs for the modern era, as burying them underground unintentionally protected them from thousands of years of weathering. Archaeologists at Filitosa found evidence of ancient sacrificial pits, stone house foundations, and a location of remarkable strategic advantage, a hilltop with sweeping views ideal for monitoring human and animal movement. The habitation layers, dating back to around 6,000 years before the Common Era, show that this area was used continuously across different periods. This leads to a bold hypothesis: Filitosa may have been a cultural or ceremonial center that endured for many millennia, or it may have belonged to an even older civilization whose traces now survive only through carved stones and stone human statues. The geometric symbols found on the statue surfaces, lines, cross marks, circles, and insignia resembling weapons, remain undeciphered. No one knows whether they represent a proto-language religious symbols or simply artistic marks. However, the repeated appearance of identical symbol types across many menhirs suggests they carried communicative or ritual significance. The greatest mystery lies in the carving technique itself. Corsican granite is extremely difficult to work with. It is so hard that ordinary stone tools struggle to create smooth surfaces or deep, even carvings. So how did ancient people manage to shape dozens of large stone human statues? Some specialists argue they used sand and water abrasion techniques over long periods, which would require massive labor and effort. Others propose a bold hypothesis that ancient people may have possessed early forms of metal tools much earlier than modern archaeology acknowledges. If true, humanity's timeline for metal tool development would need to be rewritten. An even more daring hypothesis suggests that the Filitosa people might have inherited knowledge from a much older lost civilization, leaving behind little evidence except for these enigmatic stone statues. All of this makes Filitosa one of the most mysterious sites in Europe, a place where stone human statues have stood motionless for millennia, yet seem to whisper stories of an age we have never truly understood. No one knows who created the statues, how they lived, why they depicted warriors instead of gods or animals, or why they transformed stone into human form with techniques far beyond the capabilities of a Stone Age community. The more modern researchers study Filitosa, the clearer it becomes that this site is not just a relic of the past, but a challenge issued by ancient people, a reminder that human history contains vast gaps, periods of development that defy the linear evolutionary model science often presents. Filitosa endures to remind us that ancient knowledge has been lost, that extraordinary techniques once existed without written records, and that some stories have remained hidden in stone for 8,000 years, waiting for a generation curious and patient enough to unlock them. The Vilcashwaman Ushnu pyramid is one of the most important constructions of the Inca civilization, located in the Ayacucho region of present-day Peru at an altitude of more than 3,500 meters in the harsh Andes. Although not as famous as Machu Picchu or Sacsayhuaman, Vilcashwaman once served as an administrative, military, and ceremonial hub of the Inca Empire, where emperors conducted major rituals, issued royal decrees, and observed the astronomical cycles that governed agricultural life. The heart of this ancient city is the Ushnu Pyramid, a type of ceremonial platform typical of Inca sacred architecture, built as a symbol of divine authority, linking humans to the gods. The Ushnu at Vilcashwaman functioned not only as a ceremonial platform, but also as an astronomical observatory, a spatial landmark, and a physical representation of the supreme authority of the Sapa Inca. From the top of the Ushnu, the ruler of the empire could survey the entire region, track the movements of the sun and stars, and relay commands to surrounding settlements and communication outposts. Among all structures in Vilcashwaman, nothing is more astonishing than the construction technique of the Ushnu pyramid itself. Here, the Inca stone-fitting mastery is expressed most clearly, comparable to masterpieces such as Sacsayhuaman or Coricancha. What continues to puzzle archaeologists to this day is how the Incas managed to cut and fit stone blocks with edges so sharp, right angles nearly perfect, and surfaces polished to an incredible smoothness, all without the use of iron or steel tools, according to traditional accounts. Many blocks at the Ushnu weigh several tons, yet each is placed flawlessly fitted so tightly that not even a thin blade can be inserted between them. Several stones have surfaces polished into gentle curves, serving both aesthetic purposes and enhancing structural stability when stacked. The mystery deepens when considering how they achieved such geometric precision at an altitude of more than 3,000 meters without wheels, without draft animals, and without metal alloys. Modern analysis suggests that the cut marks on the stones may indicate a highly sophisticated combination of abrasion and impact techniques far more delicate than what typical stone tools would allow. Some scholars even question whether the Incas possessed a special form of alloy or an unknown stone softening technique that has since been lost. The more researchers study the Ushnu, the clearer it becomes that this structure was not built merely to stand firm. It was built to be perfect, achieving a degree of precision far beyond what a ceremonial platform would seemingly require. Even more remarkable is how the Incas arranged the stones in perfectly straight, horizontal layers. Each layer appears to have been measured, calibrated, and aligned with an advanced mathematical and surveying system. Viewed from a distance, the stone courses form a visually striking alignment, giving the impression that the steps of the Ushnu were assembled with modern machinery rather than built by a pre-industrial civilization. Additionally, the tight stone joints allowed the structure to withstand earthquakes, a dangerous characteristic of the Andean region. The walls, built without mortar, could move flexibly during seismic activity and then return to balance without collapsing. This level of engineering refinement is something even many modern constructions strive to achieve. Another mystery lies in how the massive stones were lifted into position. With no evidence of wide ramps or pulley systems, the Incas may have dragged multi-ton blocks using sheer manpower up narrow stairways that today seem impossibly steep for such tasks. How did they lift, rotate, and place these enormous blocks with millimeter-level precision? Some theories propose temporary earthen ramps. Others suggest thermal expansion-contraction techniques to create fractures and footholds. Yet none fully explain the sophistication of the final joints. This unresolved puzzle makes the Ushnu one of the most technically enigmatic achievements of Inca architecture. Furthermore, the stones exhibit remarkable uniformity in size and proportion. This suggests that the Incas may have possessed a standardized measurement system or a detailed blueprint, neither of which has been discovered. The core mystery is this: why would the Incas construct a ceremonial structure only a few dozen meters high with a precision comparable to the Egyptian pyramids? The most plausible conclusion is that the Ushnu was far more than a ritual platform. It was a symbol of authority, an astronomical instrument, and possibly a center for measuring time. All of this makes Section 2 the most crucial and mysterious aspect of studying the Vilcashwaman Ushnu pyramid. Beyond its architectural beauty, the Ushnu pyramid possesses an extremely accurate astronomical alignment system. Its structure is oriented according to the rising and setting positions of the sun on solstices and equinoxes, allowing the Incas to determine the beginning of planting seasons, agricultural cycles, and the timing of major ceremonies. Several circular holes carved into stones on the Ushnu's summit may have been used to fix observational stakes that tracked solar shadows, producing lines that marked astronomical events. This demonstrates that the Ushnu represents a sophisticated fusion of architecture, science, and religion, an advanced concept for a civilization without a formal written record. On the surfaces of many Ushnu steps, researchers have found small circular holes drilled deeply into the stone, arranged in specific patterns. Their exact purpose remains unknown. Some theories suggest they were used to secure wooden posts for rituals. Others propose they served as reference points for astronomical measurements. Still others believe they may be remnants of a lost technology employed to lift, rotate, or stabilize stones during construction. The uniform roundness and consistent depth of these holes deepen the mystery, as drilling stone with such precision requires highly refined tools. Before the Incas constructed the ceremonial center, the Vilcashwaman region belonged to the Chanca culture. Several older foundations were discovered beneath Inca layers, suggesting that the Ushnu may have been built on an already sacred site. This raises the question: did the Incas merely inherit and expand an existing ceremonial center, or did they consciously select a location with strong symbolic significance? Some pre-Inca stones exhibit similarly polished surfaces, adding more complexity to the chronology and construction techniques associated with the site. Adjacent to the Ushnu are two important structures, the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Moon. Together with the Ushnu, these form a ceremonial triangle, reflecting the Inca cosmology of three worlds: the upper world of the heavens, the earthly world of humans, and the underworld below. The interplay of these structures indicates that the Ushnu was not only a ritual site, but also a metaphysical connector between these realms, a cosmic pillar in Andean mythology. Recent studies show that sunlight at certain times of the year shines directly from the Ushnu toward the temples, reinforcing the theory that the entire complex functioned as a giant astronomical instrument. There are many theories regarding the primary function of the Ushnu: a temporary throne of the Sapa Inca, an astronomical observatory, a signaling point for the Capacan communication network, or an altar for communicating with deities. The mystery lies in the fact that all these theories are plausible, yet none fully explain the extraordinary stone-fitting precision highlighted in Section 2. This leads many scholars to believe that the Ushnu combined multiple purposes, serving as a center of authority, science, and spirituality integrated into a single structure. If the Inca truly did not use hard metals like iron or steel, then what kind of technology do you think they used to cut shape and fit those massive stone blocks with near-perfect precision at the Ushnu? Do you have any interesting theories? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Must Farm logboat is one of the Bronze Age artifacts that has astonished archaeologists more than any other discovery in recent decades, not only because of its age of more than 3,000 years, but also due to its extraordinarily well-preserved condition, as if the boat had been sealed in time. Yet what makes it a particularly intriguing mystery within British archaeology is the level of craftsmanship far beyond what anyone had imagined in terms of size and construction technique. If the boat-building skills of Bronze Age communities were sophisticated enough to create something as impressive as the Must Farm logboat, do you think we might be underestimating their level of technological advancement? What other lost technologies from this era do you think may have existed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. When the boat was lifted from the silty layers of the Cambridgeshire wetlands, researchers immediately realized they had not merely found an ancient means of transport, but evidence of a sophisticated technical capability not previously attributed to Bronze Age communities. The boat stretches 9 meters in length, carved from a single massive oak trunk, raising the question, with what tools and through what methods could people more than 3 millennia ago produce such a large, balanced and smooth structure? In the context of the Bronze Age, metal tools were still crude and far from refined, and creating a long vessel with thin, even walls would have demanded precise control of force heat and advanced carving techniques. Yet the surface of the boat shows almost no signs of mistakes. The layers of wood were removed evenly, and the interior is remarkably smooth, giving the impression of master artisans working with a technology we had long assumed impossible for that era. Scorch marks indicate that ancient craftspeople knew how to use fire to soften the wood, then combine it with tools to scrape off layers with precision, as though they had mastered the art of wooden vessel construction to a high degree. This leads to a provocative question. Did the Bronze Age people of this region possess techniques that were later lost, or were they benefiting from a broader, more complex knowledge system than history typically acknowledges? The size and refinement of the Must Farm logboat have prompted many experts to reconsider older assumptions that European Bronze Age communities built only simple boats for short-distance travel. On the contrary, this vessel demonstrates that they understood the properties of wood, the distribution of weight, and even how to optimize the hull's shape for smooth navigation through waterways. This is especially significant when placing Must Farm within the context of an ancient network of canals and channels connected to the wider fenland area. When examining the boat's structure, archaeologists realized it was not merely a small, isolated craft, but could have belonged to an extensive system of transport or trade. This entirely overturns the outdated image of a small, isolated agricultural community. Instead, Must Farm's inhabitants may have been mobile, engaged in exchanges, transporting goods, and even connecting with distant groups. However, the mystery deepens with the absence of cargo, personal belongings, or clear traces of commercial activity when the boat was found. Inside it were only a few wear marks, some charred fragments of wood, and signs that repairs had once been made. This has led researchers to debate whether the boat sank accidentally or was intentionally placed in the water as part of a ritual offering. In many ancient cultures, boats hold deep, symbolic significance. Vessels that guide souls to the afterlife, and placing them in water as offerings to deities was not uncommon. If the must-farm logboat was used in ritual practice, this heightens its cultural importance and raises another question: why would a large, carefully crafted boat requiring such effort to build be sacrificed rather than reused? Conversely, the hypothesis of an accidental sinking remains plausible, given that the boat was discovered near the charred remains of stilt houses in the must-farm settlement. If a major fire once swept through the area, causing the collapse of the settlement, the boat may have fallen into the water, along with other debris, where anaerobic silt preserved it for 3,000 years. Yet the existing evidence is insufficient to draw a definitive conclusion. This uncertainty is part of what makes the must-farm logboat one of the most compelling archaeological mysteries. It does not tell us exactly what happened, but instead opens the door to numerous possibilities about a complex past. What is most astonishing is the boat's near-perfect state of preservation. The wet, oxygen-deprived silt created a natural time capsule that prevented the wood from decaying, preserving every curve and tool mark the ancient craftspeople left behind. Thanks to this, we can observe their workmanship as if the boat had been built only decades ago. While many Bronze Age artifacts survive only as fragments, the must-farm logboat stands as a powerful testament to the technical abilities of a community once underestimated. It reveals that the Bronze Age was far more complex than school textbooks often suggest. These people may have possessed advanced knowledge of woodcraft, boat building, hydraulic travel, and perhaps even a sophisticated social network. This is why must-farm has been called the Pompeii of the Bronze Age, not only because of its preservation, but because it unveils a world previously unknown to us. The boat's existence raises a profound question: if a single artifact can reshape our understanding of an entire era, how many more secrets lie buried beneath layers of silt, waiting to be unearthed? The must-farm logboat is more than a vessel. It is a reminder that history is always more intricate than we imagine, and that communities once thought small or simple may have possessed technological and organizational sophistication far beyond modern assumptions. Each perfect curve of the boat challenges us to ask, have we truly understood Bronze Age people? Or is our knowledge merely the surface of a once flourishing civilization that vanished without clear explanation? And it is precisely the silence of the must-farm logboat, the emptiness within its hull, that deepens the mystery, as though inviting the modern world to continue digging through the layers of time to recover the forgotten stories buried beneath. Hidden deep within the tropical jungles of Guatemala, near the archaeological zone of Huamul, the Huamul Frieze Temple has long been regarded as one of the most extraordinary testimonies to the artistic mastery and sacred worldview of the ancient Maya. Though buried for more than a millennium beneath layers of time, climate, humidity, and natural erosion, this structure possesses something that astonishes archaeologists, chemists, art historians, and scholars of ancient civilizations alike: vivid red, blue, and yellow pigments that remain almost impossibly bright, defying all current understanding of ancient coloring techniques. When archaeologists first removed the heavy earth covering the nearly 10-meter stucco frieze, they did not merely encounter divine figures, princes, mythical creatures, and ceremonial motifs. They were struck by flashes of color, preserved in a way that seemed unbelievable. At many Maya sites, paint has long been washed away by tropical rain and environmental decay. Yet at Huamul, the pigments cling stubbornly to every sculpted contour, as though created only decades ago. The red of hematite, the yellow of natural minerals, and especially the brilliant Maya blue, one of the most enigmatic pigments ever created, appear so vivid and deep that they seem almost luminescent within the shadows of the excavation chamber. This transforms the Huamul frieze temple from a mere artwork into a window revealing the Mayas' advanced chemical knowledge. What do you think allowed the red, blue, and yellow pigments of the Huamul frieze temple to remain so vibrant for more than 1,000 years? Do you believe it was advanced chemical techniques, secret Maya rituals, or something else that modern science has not yet uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The most mysterious element is Maya blue, the legendary azure pigment that modern science only partially unraveled at the end of the 20th century. This substance is antibacterial, antifungal, alkali-resistant, acid-resistant, and astonishingly impervious to weathering. At most, Maya sites, even faint traces of Maya blue, excite researchers, but at Huamul, the pigment is not merely preserved, it is near-perfect coating, decorative panels, feather, motifs, ritual symbols, and sculpted features as if freshly applied during the Maya Golden Age. The survival of blue, red, and yellow pigments together on a stucco surface more than 1,000 years old raises a profound question. What compounds and techniques did the Maya use to create colors that endure far beyond anything known in ancient art? Even cultures such as the Greeks and Romans saw their colors fade or vanish, yet Huamul maintains a permanence that borders on the supernatural. The colors at Huamul are not merely decorative, they carry deep symbolic significance. Red represents blood, the rising sun, and the cycle of rebirth. Yellow symbolizes the sun god and royal authority. Blue, associated with the sky and the divine realm, is the color of spiritual transformation. In the massive frieze, these colors unify to depict Prince Enab, emerging from the jaws of a sacred creature, conveying a powerful message of divine sanction, royal legitimacy, and cosmic renewal. Without the preserved pigments, the relief would be impressive. With them, the full symbolic narrative comes alive: the red of sacrificial blood, the blue of the gods, the golden radiance of kingship. Archaeologists note that the colors allow the structure to speak across time, as though recounting a Maya royal ceremony directly to the modern observer. The mystery deepens. Why is Huamul unique in preserving pigments with such extraordinary resilience? Some scholars suggest that the site's location, shielded by dense jungle, stable humidity, and layered architectural construction, may have created a natural protective chamber. However, this does not fully explain the exceptional durability of Maya blue, which should have degraded under environmental stress. Others speculate that the Maya used esoteric methods linked to ritual practices, resins, special clays, incense, smoke, or controlled ceremonial heat that chemically bonded pigments into an eternal form. If true, such knowledge vanished with the decline of Maya civilization, leaving behind an unsolved enigma. The relief itself deepens the sense of wonder. Stucco is typically fragile, prone to crumbling, flaking, and fading, but at Huamul, every fold of clothing, every feather, and every curve remains intact. The union of precise sculpting and immortal colors makes the frieze appear as if it were frozen in time, preserving every cultural, political, and spiritual element of Maya society. Under excavation lights, the red gleams like freshly dried blood. The blue glows like turquoise, and the yellow shines like sunlight entering a hidden cavern, forming a scene many archaeologists describe as stepping into a living moment from the year 600-ish CE. Beyond art, the frieze serves a political purpose. Inscriptions reveal that King Ajwosul of the Snake Kingdom sponsored its construction, integrating Huamul into the vast power network of the Knowth dynasty. The pigments reinforce this message, visually elevating the prince's image, legitimizing the ruling authority, and asserting divine protection. A political monument cannot afford to fade, yet Huamul's colors endure as though the Knowth message still echoes across time. The fact that the Huamul frieze was built over an even older Maya structure reflects the civilization's layered architectural tradition, but also raises intriguing questions. Was the new, brightly colored frieze intended to overwrite earlier political or spiritual narratives? Was it a form of cultural renewal, replacing an older dynasty with a newly empowered one? If so, the vivid colors served not only artistry, but also a declaration of dominance and ideological rebirth. Today, the Huamul frieze temple remains one of the greatest enigmas of Maya civilization, a masterpiece blending intricate sculpture, sacred symbolism, advanced construction, and most remarkably, pigments that defy the passage of time. Although modern science understands some aspects of Maya blue, the true methods, materials, and ritual processes behind its longevity remain unknown. This harmony of art, chemistry, and spirituality has transformed the Huamul frieze temple into a frozen moment of history, where color, normally the most fragile element of ancient heritage, has become the most enduring, outlasting stone stucco and centuries. Huamul stands not merely as a ruin, but as a reminder that ancient knowledge may have reached heights we still cannot fully comprehend, and that the radiant red, blue, and yellow hues glowing in the darkness of the temple remain the most vivid testament to that lost brilliance. K&T Loughcrew megalithic art is one of the most mysterious treasures of the Neolithic era, where stone-carved artworks that have existed for more than 5,000 years still retain an astounding level of sharpness that continues to puzzle archaeologists, symbol researchers, and experts in ancient astronomy regarding the techniques, purposes, and knowledge of the prehistoric people who created them. Amid the rolling hills of Loughcrew, K&T rises as a ceremonial center, a crossroads between art, spirituality, astronomy, and secrets swallowed by time. What impresses observers most upon encountering K&T is the incredible precision of its stone carvings, created with rudimentary stone tools, yet achieving a level of refinement that even modern craftsmen would struggle to replicate. Spirals, concentric circles, rows, radiating lines, and geometric forms are carved deeply, evenly, deliberately carrying the intellectual imprint of a mindset far beyond what we typically imagine of Neolithic inhabitants. It is difficult to believe that in a time before widespread metal use, human hands could engrave hard stone with such precision as if aided by a forgotten technology. These motifs are not only sharp, but also arranged according to distinct patterns. Each group of symbols tells a story, opening a doorway into the minds of ancient people, yet the key to deciphering that story has been lost forever. What do you think about the extraordinary sharpness of the 5,000-year-old stone carvings at K&T? Is it the result of exceptional ancient craftsmanship or evidence of a lost form of knowledge? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Adding to the mystery is the way many symbols at K&T appear repeatedly in deliberate combinations, not as random decoration, but seemingly serving functions related to timekeeping, astronomy, or rituals associated with solar and lunar cycles. Researchers continue to debate whether these patterns represent an agricultural calendar, a celestial map, descriptions of astronomical motion, or the coded structure of some sacred ritual. Concentric circles and spirals also appear in other ancient cultures, yet their arrangement and consistency at KNT suggest a coherent intellectual system unique to its creators, not merely a universal prehistoric motif. Thus, KNT resembles a monumental text carved in stone, yet one whose readers have long vanished. One of the most baffling aspects of KNT is its uncanny alignment with the spring equinox. Every year, on the exact date of the equinox, the rising sun pierces directly through the tomb entrance, travels along the stone passage, and illuminates the carved stones inside. The light moves across the symbols moment by moment, as though the builders calculated the sun's angle timing and trajectory across millennia with extraordinary accuracy. Such perfect alignment cannot be accidental. To design an illumination effect that strikes specific carvings at the precise moment of the equinox, the builders must have possessed astronomical knowledge far beyond the primitive level often attributed to Neolithic societies. This makes KNT not only a ceremonial structure, but a solar observatory where light and shadow served as tools for conveying knowledge or marking sacred moments in the year. Beyond its artistic and astronomical significance, KNT contains an unexpected acoustic phenomenon. Visitors report that sounds inside echo with amplified, low-frequency resonance, creating the sensation that the chamber itself vibrates along with the voice. Acoustic specialists propose that the stone structure and dimensions of the walls and ceiling create a natural resonant chamber, which ancient people may have exploited for rituals, particularly those intended to alter states of consciousness or facilitate communication with the spiritual world. Some researchers compare this effect to other megalithic sites across Europe, where ancient builders also appear to have intentionally engineered acoustics as part of sacred ceremonies. The location of KNT adds further intrigue. It stands at the highest point of the Lofcrew complex, offering sweeping views over the surrounding plains. This has led many to believe that the structure served not only as a tomb, but also as a ceremonial center, a gathering place for observing natural cycles and participating in seasonal rituals. Studies of geomagnetic alignments, ley lines reveal that KNT lies at the intersection of multiple energy paths, similar to other ancient sites like Stonehenge and Newgrange. For those who study geomancy or spiritual landscapes, this strengthens the idea that its builders selected the site based on a refined sensitivity to Earth energies, something modern science cannot yet measure. Another enigma of KNT is the way equinox sunlight illuminates the symbol groups in sequence, as though narrating a story through light. This has led archaeologists to believe that the carvings were not merely decorative, but a system for recording the movement of time itself. As the beam shifts across the stone surface, different motifs are revealed, as if activating individual chapters of a tale programmed long ago by its creators. Perhaps it tells of rebirth, agriculture, or the eternal cycles of the cosmos, but for now, all interpretations remain speculative. Some scholars propose that certain motifs represent comets, lunar phases, or star clusters. The spirals, dots, and radiating lines at KNT might encode early astronomical observations. If true, KNT is not merely a shrine or tomb, but a library of cosmic knowledge preserving the sky-watching traditions of a vanished civilization. Yet evidence remains inconclusive, and what survives are only faint traces of an intellectual system that once thrived. Perhaps the greatest mystery is the absence of definitive evidence about the people who created these works. No human remains, grave goods, or clear traces of daily life have been found. The creators of KNT seem to have appeared solely to build and decorate the monument, then vanished from history. This raises questions. Were they a religious elite, a specialized guild of stoneworkers or bearers of knowledge, inherited from an even earlier culture. The archaeological silence turns KNT into a historical void, where any hypothesis might be plausible, yet unprovable. Regardless of the true story behind KNT, the 5,000-year-old stone art here surpasses every limitation we typically assign to prehistoric people. The sharp, deep, mathematically precise carvings reflect a profound intellect, remarkable discipline, and celestial knowledge that time has not erased. Each stone is a page. Each carved line is a half-destroyed sentence. And KNT, shrouded in ambiguity, awe, and perfection, continues to challenge the modern world. Do we truly understand what the ancients intended, or are we only glimpsing the surface of a narrative far deeper than we can imagine? The Delphi omphalos stone, also known as the navel of the world, has long been one of the most sacred and debated symbols of ancient Greek civilization. At the sanctuary of Delphi, considered the central point of communication between gods and humans, the omphalos stone was not merely symbolic, but was also tied to mysterious rituals, famous prophecies, and above all, the greatest enigma: what was its true function? For thousands of years, archaeologists, historians, and mystics have proposed countless theories, yet none have been definitive enough to end the debate. This has made the omphalos one of the most enigmatic ancient artifacts, far surpassing the role of a mere symbolic stone. Do you think the Delphi omphalos stone was merely a sacred symbol? Or did it once serve a mysterious function that we still haven't been able to decipher? Share your thoughts in the comments below. According to Greek mythology, the omphalos marks the spot where Zeus released two eagles from opposite ends of the world. Where they met was Delphi, the center of the universe. The stone was placed here to mark the intersection between heaven and earth, between mortals and gods. But the fact that the Greeks assigned it such sacred significance is not the only reason it is so mysterious. The crisscrossing carvings on the omphalos, the surrounding net-like patterns, the rope-like motifs, and the raised dots on its surface have no clear explanation in ancient texts. And here emerges the greatest mystery. Was the omphalos merely a religious symbol, or did it possess a deeper function beyond what modern archaeology can understand? Many scholars believe the omphalos once played a role in the prophetic rituals of the priestess Pythia at the Temple of Apollo. Pythia is thought to have sat near the stone during her prophetic utterances, while ethylene gases escaping from geological fault lines beneath Delphi brought her into a trance. Some modern studies ask, perhaps the omphalos was not just placed beside her, but actually served as a ritual instrument, one that amplified sound, concentrated energy, or created a resonant effect that heightened the mystical experience of prophecy. Though bold, the idea is not far-fetched. The ancient Greeks were renowned for their advanced acoustic engineering, such as the theater of Epidaurus, whose perfect acoustics still astonish scientists today. If they could accomplish such feats on a grand scale, why not on a smaller ritual object? Some theories propose that the net-like carvings on the omphalos symbolized a cosmic network, while others suggest the patterns had a practical purpose: grooves that allowed sound or air to move across the stone's surface, influencing the mental or spiritual state of the person involved in the ritual. Some researchers lean toward mystical interpretations, suggesting the omphalos served as a focal point of sacred energy, similar to how many ancient cultures chose world centers located at special geological intersections. Delphi lies at the junction of two major fault lines, producing a region of unusual geological activity where ethylene gas naturally escapes. The Greeks choosing this spot for their most important sanctuary cannot have been random. And if the location itself was vital, then the omphalos, the symbolic convergence point, may have been a tool to help humans connect with the Earth's energies, or in Greek terms, with Apollo. However, without ancient documentation describing the omphalos' exact function, every theory remains speculative. This deepens the mystery further. The stone displayed at Delphi today is believed to be a Roman replica, not the original Greek artifact. This adds yet another enigmatic layer. If the current stone is merely a copy, where is the original? Was it stolen in wartime, buried in an ancient earthquake, or still hidden somewhere beneath the ruins? The absence of the true omphalos means we cannot examine original surface details, internal structure, or possible ritual traces that might reveal its purpose. Notably, the concept of an omphalos, the world's center, is not unique to Delphi. Jerusalem has the foundation stone, ancient Egypt had the Benben stone, and Celtic cultures had sacred pillars marking their cosmic center. The appearance of similar symbols in unrelated civilizations suggests that the omphalos may represent an ancient universal principle that we still do not fully understand. This reinforces the idea that the omphalos was not only decorative, but a profound religious ritual symbol with deep spiritual significance. Some modern scholars even propose that the omphalos may once have been a ritual container hollow inside to store sacred objects or tokens used in communication with the divine. If so, the net-like carvings might symbolize protection or sealing. Although speculative, this explanation clarifies why the Greeks kept the stone in such a sacred and protected context for centuries. Another often overlooked factor is the natural acoustics of the Delphi Valley. The surrounding cliffs create a unique echo phenomenon. If the omphalos was positioned at an acoustically strategic point, it may have reflected or focused sound in a way that enhanced the ritual atmosphere. When Pythia's voice echoed, the resonance might have sounded supernatural, making listeners believe the prophecy was delivered through the stone, a medium between humans and Apollo. Though unproven, this theory is plausible, given the Greeks' sophisticated understanding of sound. Whether viewed through the lens of archaeology, mythology, religion, or science, the central question remains: what was the omphalos truly created for? Was it merely the symbolic navel of the world, or was it a ritual instrument used for a purpose beyond our modern comprehension? More than 2 millennia have passed, yet the omphalos retains its magnetic allure. Its mysterious patterns, geological connections, ties to Pythia, the missing original, and parallels with world center symbols across global cultures all weave a complex narrative that makes this small stone seem as though it contains an entire universe within it. And until the original is found, if it still exists, the true function of the Delphi omphalos stone will remain one of the greatest unanswered mysteries of the ancient world. The Pachacamac Temple Pyramid is one of the most mysterious, sacred structures of Peru's coastal region, a place once regarded as the most important religious center for more than a millennium, attracting countless pilgrims from everywhere who came solely to seek prophecy's healing or the judgment of the god Pachacamac, the creator deity believed to have the power to shake the earth. This pyramid and the entire sacred complex surrounding it is not only an archaeological ruin, but also a repository of layered memories belonging to the Lima Wari and Inca civilizations, built, renovated, and worshipped across generations, as though the land itself carried an energy beyond human understanding. Ancient people came here not only with reverence, but also with fear, believing that any mistake in ritual could anger the god and cause earthquakes, a threat ever present along the Andes. The first astonishing aspect of the Pachacamac Temple Pyramid is that it survived as a ceremonial center for over 1,000 years despite political upheavals, changes in rulers, and even severe earthquakes. A structure that endures for so long is usually tied to a powerful spiritual authority, and indeed no civilization that ever controlled this region dared destroy or replace Pachacamac's temple with another religion. They only expanded or built over it, as though all peoples from Lima to Wari and then the Inca were convinced by an invisible force that Pachacamac existed before them and would continue to exist after them, and that the sacred power of this place could not be violated. However, the strangest detail and also the heart of the mystery, this stepped pyramid, was built entirely from adobe sun-dried mud brick, a material considered soft, weak, and highly vulnerable to rain time and especially earthquakes. Unlike granite or limestone used by many civilizations to build pyramids lasting millennia, the ancient builders of Pachacamac chose adobe, a seemingly unreasonable choice. Yet paradoxically, it is this adobe construction that survived thousands of years. Countless ground tremors, harsh coastal climates, and significant historical changes. The mystery lies in their unique bricklaying technique. Instead of placing bricks in straight lines like conventional construction, they arranged them in a sea wave pattern, rows of adobe curved, slightly forming tiny gaps that helped disperse seismic energy. When earthquakes occurred, forces did not travel directly through the walls, causing collapse. Instead, they were absorbed and diffused through this undulating structure. This technique functioned as a natural anti-seismic mechanism, extremely advanced for its time. What puzzles archaeologists is that no evidence documents this technique, no architectural records, no preserved models. How did the ancients know, through generations of experimentation or through a specialized oral tradition now lost? This opens the hypothesis that the people of Pachacamac may have deeply understood seismic behavior, perhaps even predicting and adapting to it long before modern science formally defined such mechanisms only a few centuries ago. Seen from afar, the pyramid resembles giant waves of earth rising from the desert, and upon closer inspection, each adobe brick bears traces of ancient hands, finger marks, edges pinched to improve grip, and subtly curved surfaces that are imperfect yet strangely uniform. No modern engineer would claim they could, using only earth and straw, build a structure tens of meters high and hundreds of meters long, and have it remain intact through 1,000 years of earthquakes. Yet the ancients achieved exactly that. This raises a major question. Did they simply get lucky with the right technique, or was this knowledge inherited from an even older civilization, one we have yet to discover? Many scholars believe the durability of this adobe structure serves as a message from the past, indicating that ancient Andean engineering was far more advanced than official history has long assumed. Deeper within the complex, the pyramid is surrounded by plazas, ceremonial corridors, ritual chambers, and walls painted in red, yellow, and black, some astonishingly well preserved. These walls depict traces of rituals, the sun symbols of the sea, and human figures dancing in acts of offering. The color's survival for thousands of years, despite salty coastal air and harsh humidity, is another mystery. The natural pigments, likely derived from unique minerals, cannot yet be fully recreated by modern methods. In the ancient world, colors were not mere decoration. They carried spiritual significance, power, and even roles in soul transition ceremonies. Their survival suggests that the ancients intentionally created a kind of immortal paint to preserve the presence of their gods. Another mystery lies in the graves discovered near the pyramid: child burials, adult burials, and offerings accompanied by pottery depicting ceremonial scenes. Some archaeologists believe this may relate to sacrificial practices meant to request prophecies. Strangely, though no records from the civilizations that controlled this area, not even the Inca, who documented many rituals, mention such sacrifices at Pachacamac. This silence adds to the mystery. Were the rituals here kept absolutely secret, passed only among priests, or was there another reason for the complete absence of written references? Even so, what made Pachacamac the most sacred site was its reputation as an oracle. Like Delphi in Greece, Pachacamac served as a prophetic center where people sought divine answers. It was believed that anyone entering the temple had to maintain a pure heart, as the god could discern truth from falsehood, virtue from wickedness. A saying once circulated among the people, "No one dares lie before the temple of Pachacamac." What is striking is that despite vast geographical separation and no cultural contact, both Pachacamac of the Andes and Delphi of Greece developed similar oracle systems with parallel architectural and ritual structures. Was this mere coincidence, parallel evolution, or remnants of a far older religious model that once spread across distant regions? When all elements are combined, the paradoxically earthquake-resistant adobe engineering, secretive ritual systems, near-immortal pigments, mysterious burials, prophetic authority, and the fact that multiple civilizations successively worshipped this site without replacing it, the Pachacamac Temple Pyramid emerges as one of the most profoundly mysterious sacred sites of ancient America. It is not merely a pyramid, it is a crossroads of belief, where faith, engineering knowledge, and myth converge, a place where ancient people embedded their fears, hopes, and a level of understanding far ahead of their time. And the greatest mystery endures. How did a structure built of adobe, a material seemingly fragile, become an immortal monument, defying earthquakes and time itself? Perhaps that question will continue to fascinate researchers for centuries to come. In your opinion, did the ancient people possess knowledge far ahead of their time, or might an even older civilization have passed this understanding down to them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Amid the golden sands and scorching winds of the Persian Gulf, the Barbar Temple of the Dilmun civilization stands as a silent witness to an era history still knows very little about. Here, a landscape that appears simple on the surface hides layers of complexity that have fueled archaeological debates for decades. The Barbar Temple was not only a place of religious rituals, but also a remarkable testament to the superior architectural skill of a civilization that has almost entirely vanished from historical records. Most strikingly, the entire structure reveals a level of stone-fitting precision so astonishing that it surpasses what people believed ancient builders were capable of achieving. Where do you think the Dilmun people's incredibly precise stone-fitting techniques came from? Was it a form of lost, scientific knowledge, a sacred secret, or something beyond our modern understanding? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Barbar Temple actually consists of 3 different temples constructed directly atop one another over the span of more than a millennium, from around the 3rd millennium BCE to the early 2nd millennium BCE. The fact that generations of Dilmun inhabitants repeatedly returned to this exact spot to rebuild their temples is no coincidence. It suggests the site held deep, sacred significance and demonstrates that the Dilmun people possessed an exceptionally refined understanding of the natural environment, especially underground water sources, seasonal flooding, solar alignments, and astronomical events. Yet it was the earliest architectural layer that shocked archaeologists. Massive limestone blocks were cut and assembled with near-perfect accuracy, forming floors and walls so smooth and precise that they defy the technological expectations of the era. Upon entering the central area, one encounters a sacred well descending into the earth where water from a natural aquifer rises seasonally. The Dilmun people designed the temple so that water could overflow into the ritual space at specific times of the year. This synchronization between the structure and the natural hydrological cycle has led researchers to wonder, how could a society 4,000 to 5,000 years ago possess such intimate knowledge of subterranean systems? Did they inherit a now lost scientific tradition? Or was the temple the epicenter of a special religious practice that linked water with the origin of life, mirroring the Mesopotamian god Enki/Ea? Yet the greatest mystery remains the stone-fitting technique itself. The heavy limestone blocks were placed with astonishing precision, their edges straight, as though shaped by molds, with surfaces so flat that modern observers find it hard to believe they were crafted entirely by hand without advanced metal tools. Many of the foundational stones, some over a meter in width, were fitted together with almost no visible gap. When archaeologists began reconstructing the architecture, they realized that each layer of stone seemed engineered to distribute weight, absorb pressure, and ensure absolute stability, techniques reminiscent of Mesopotamian temple construction, though in some ways even more advanced. This raises a major question. How could a maritime civilization like Dilmun, not known for sophisticated stoneworking, produce a structure with such extraordinary precision? No traces of metal saws, high-quality copper tools, or other advanced implements have been found to explain the flawless stone surfaces. Although Bahrain has natural limestone deposits, this alone cannot explain why some stones appear mirror-smooth, as if polished by mechanical means. A few researchers have even suggested the possibility that the Dilmun people may have used a natural chemical method to soften stone, a controversial hypothesis, but one that intriguingly aligns with the physical evidence. The stones were not only cut and fitted with extreme accuracy, but also oriented along significant axes. Some sections of the temple appear aligned with the rising or setting sun during solstices, indicating a deliberate connection between architecture and astronomy, a level of sophistication only advanced ancient cultures tended to pursue. This deepens the mystery. Was the Barbar temple merely a sanctuary dedicated to a water deity, or could it have functioned as a proto-astronomical observatory where Dilmun priests monitored solar movements to predict seasons, tides, and ritual timings? To construct such a complex and robust structure, the Dilmun people must have possessed knowledge far more advanced than previously assumed, ranging from physics and engineering to spatial orientation and material science. Yet ancient texts describe Dilmun mostly as a land of purity, a paradisiacal realm in Sumerian mythology. None of these inscriptions suggest technical expertise or advanced construction methods. This paradox makes the Barbar temple even harder to interpret. How could a culture depicted largely through mythical imagery possess such precise, practical engineering capabilities? Some scholars propose that Barbar's architecture may have been influenced by Mesopotamian traditions, yet its materials, techniques, and religious purpose differ markedly from Babylonian or Sumerian structures. The Dilmun people did not build ziggurats, use baked brick, or decorate with relief carvings. They worked exclusively with limestone, but in a manner unmatched anywhere else in the Gulf region during the same period. For this reason, the Barbar temple stands as the most compelling evidence for a forgotten chapter of history, a maritime civilization that once controlled trade routes between Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, yet left behind few monuments, aside from inexplicably advanced stone structures. Standing among the ruins today, one cannot help but sense something uncanny in the way the stones meld with the ground. The entire structure seems engineered to endure millennia of erosion, flooding, and environmental change. If the temple's purpose was purely religious, why did the Dilmun invest such meticulous effort as though constructing a giant stone machine? If it served an astronomical function, why were the observation axes integrated so harmoniously with hydrological features? And if it was meant for secret ritual activities, why does the layout resemble a scientific blueprint? What makes the Barbar temple unique is not merely its age or its religious significance. Its true mystery lies in the extraordinary convergence of religion, astronomy, and advanced construction engineering. No single explanation can fully account for the entire structure. Yet when viewed together, these elements suggest that the temple may have been the product of an integrated system of knowledge, one where science and spirituality were intertwined, where myth and architecture united to create something far beyond its time. And within this enigmatic convergence, the Barbar temple emerges as one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of the Persian Gulf. A timeless reminder that human history remains filled with untold stories and that some ancient structures, though silent for 5 millennia, still challenge our modern understanding of engineering and ancient intelligence. The Tucume Pyramid Valley is one of the most enigmatic and monumental pyramid complexes of the ancient Lambayeque civilization, where more than 26 pyramids coexist within a barren valley, forming a landscape that is both majestic and filled with unanswered questions. From an aerial view, the entire area resembles another world, a vast religious and ceremonial center revered by 3 civilizations, Lambayeque, Chimu, and Inca. What makes this valley even stranger is not only its immense scale, but also the presence of countless ritual structures concentrated in a region that seems to lack the necessary resources to support such a massive religious power center. But the greatest and most fascinating mystery, one that has long challenged archaeologists, lies in the pyramids built entirely of adobe bricks, a material known for being fragile, prone to collapse, and easily eroded by rainwind and time. Yet at Tucume, these structures achieved unbelievably colossal dimensions, rising 30 to 40 meters high and stretching hundreds of meters in length. Some, such as Huaca Larga, extend over 700 meters, making it one of the largest adobe pyramids ever constructed on Earth. This raises a paradox. How could an ancient civilization lacking steel machinery, or even the wheel, create architectural masses of such magnitude using the weakest material available? Why didn't they build with stone, like the Andean people in the highlands? And why did they dare to construct artificial mountains of earth in a region with extremely harsh weather, where monsoon winds and El Niño events could easily destroy fragile structures? These questions remain unresolved, and the deeper researchers study adobe at Tucume, the stranger it becomes. Adobe is not like stone. It requires sun-drying and precise mixing of earth, water, and straw for proper cohesion. To build a pyramid several dozen meters high, the ancients had to produce millions of bricks. Manufacturing, transporting, and arranging them in a way that prevented the entire structure from collapsing under its own weight is something even modern engineers must calculate carefully. Yet the Lambayeque accomplished this more than 8 centuries ago. Remarkably, they understood how to lock gravity by using larger bricks at the base and smaller ones above, interwoven with sloped surfaces to disperse compressive forces, a technical approach some researchers believe was far ahead of its time. This seeming impossibility is reinforced by archaeological evidence showing that many adobe sections still retain their cross-sections, compression integrity, and structural stability despite centuries of sandstorms, earthquakes, and natural disasters. Clearly, the ancients understood adobe far better than we previously assumed. They may even have possessed mixing techniques or construction knowledge now lost to history. The more one observes, the clearer it becomes that the adobe pyramids of Tucume were not mere architectural constructions. They were declarations of power, demonstrating the labor organization, engineering abilities, and cosmic worldview of a civilization far more advanced than expected for its era. Even more astonishing is that three different civilizations, Lambayeque, Chimu, and Inca, continued to build, expand, and use these adobe pyramids, treating them as a supreme ceremonial center. Why did none of them abandon the site to construct new temples? What made Tucume a sacred land across so many centuries? Ancient people believed this was the descent point of Nalamp, a mythical winged being who emerged from the sea to bring knowledge to humanity. Whether legend or reality, symbols associated with Nalamp appear throughout the valley, suggesting that the entire landscape of Tucume was designed as a colossal altar dedicated to this deity. Beyond the mystery of materials lies another puzzling phenomenon: the recurring cycle of demolition, burning, abandonment, and rebuilding found throughout Tucume's history. Many pyramids show deliberate burn marks, followed by the construction of new layers on top. This could signify ritual purification, the end of a ruling era, or the aftermath of a catastrophic event that compelled the population to re-sanctify the site across generations. This recurring pattern strengthens the theory that Tucume was not merely a ceremonial center, but a focal point for esoteric rituals connected to agricultural cycles, life and death, and ancient astronomy. The straight ceremonial roads linking the pyramids add yet another layer of mystery. Many of these pathways align precisely with sacred mountains surrounding the valley. Similar to the Inca Keke lines, these routes may form an enormous ritual map, an organized, symbolic landscape understood only by the priestly elite. Within this grand architectural composition, Huaca stands out as a giant earth ship stretching more than 700 meters long and rising 40 meters high, containing numerous rooms, courtyards, and intricate foundations. No one knows its original purpose. Was it a supreme temple, a priestly administrative center, or an astronomical observatory tracking the cycles of the sun and moon? How the ancients created such a massive adobe structure and ensured its survival in an environment of violent weather remains one of the most persistent questions confronting modern scholars. Inside many pyramids, archaeologists have discovered traces of animal sacrifice and agricultural rituals. This indicates that Tucume was not merely an administrative center or settlement, but a sacred site where ancient people placed their hopes for rain crops and the supernatural forces that sustained life. These findings deepen the mystery of the material. Why would a civilization choose a fragile mud brick material to construct its most sacred ritual monuments? Was adobe symbolic? Did it represent life itself, formed from earth, water, and sunlight? Some scholars believe the adobe pyramids were not just physical constructions, but living sacred entities. Regardless of the theories proposed, no one can deny that the mystery of adobe at Tucume is what sets this valley apart from every other pyramid center in the world. Unlike the solid stone of Giza or the geometric precision of Teotihuacan, Tucume represents a wholly different architectural philosophy, one bold, experimental, and deeply ritualistic. Over 8 centuries later, although many parts of the valley have eroded, the remaining structural strength of the adobe pyramids continues to astonish researchers. Even today, standing before these giant masses of earth, rising from the desert, one cannot help but wonder, how did they do it? Why did they choose adobe? And what secret allowed these mountains of earth to endure for hundreds of years? Tucume is not just an archaeological site. It is a challenge to the modern world, a reminder that ancient knowledge may still lie undiscovered, preserved within the sun-dried bricks that form the heart of this enigmatic valley. If the ancient people were capable of building massive adobe pyramids like those at Tucume, how much of their engineering knowledge might still remain undiscovered today? In your opinion, what is the greatest secret still hidden beneath these layers of sun-dried bricks? Share your thoughts below. The Taraj fortified oasis settlement has long been regarded as one of the most mysterious structures located in the arid deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, where scorching heat, sandstorms, and desolation seem entirely unsuitable for any large-scale architectural endeavor. Yet, in a landscape that appears inhospitable to life, Taraj rises like an ancient proud fortress encircling a fertile oasis, showcasing the impressive construction skills, strategic thinking, and remarkable adaptability of anonymous people lost to history. What captures the attention of researchers is not merely the age of the settlement or its complex defensive system, but the way it was built entirely from sandstone, a material difficult to quarry, transport, and shape under harsh desert conditions. The use of sandstone with such advanced craftsmanship raises a major question: who possessed such technical capabilities in a desert environment with almost no natural resources for construction? At first sight, the walls of Taraj astonish archaeologists. Massive sandstone blocks, each weighing several tons, were cut with an unusual degree of flatness and sharpness, then placed tightly together without any binding material, similar to megalithic structures found elsewhere in the world. The mystery deepens when considering that desert sand constantly erodes surfaces, yet Taraj's stones have retained their lines and structure, with many sections still preserved after millennia. How could ancient builders achieve such precision in a place with almost no water, an essential element for working stone? Even more astonishing is the lack of wood in the region, making the transport of such enormous blocks nearly impossible. Some theories suggest that ancient inhabitants used small stone rollers or slid the blocks over damp sand, but modern simulations show these methods would not have been effective. The walls of Taraj are not only thick and tall, but engineered with layered structures that optimize resistance against wind collapse and long-term pressure. This indicates that the builders were not only knowledgeable about their materials, but also deeply understood the dynamics of the desert wind patterns, sand movement, and drastic temperature shifts. Such refined design demonstrates a level of understanding far beyond what is often attributed to ancient Arabian societies. Beyond the sandstone walls and barriers, the entire site forms a coherent architectural ecosystem: residence, storage areas, ceremonial spaces, watchtowers, and gateways, all consistent in style and construction techniques. This suggests that Taraj was not built chaotically over multiple periods, but was likely executed as a coordinated project by a highly skilled workforce or a well-organized civilization. This only deepens the mystery: why does a settlement of such scale barely appear in any historical texts? Inside the fortified walls are structures for living and ritual activities, yet there is an absence of cultural markers that would identify a specific civilization. No written records, no symbolic motifs, no distinctive pottery or tools. Everything appears as though the inhabitants deliberately avoided leaving traces, or they belonged to a community that did not seek documentation, or perhaps were intentionally erased from historical memory. Researchers believe the settlement once lay along an important trade route where merchants stopped for water and exchange. Yet strangely, there is no evidence of major commercial activity, no imported goods, no valuable artifacts, no international influences typically found in ancient trading hubs. If not a commercial center, could Taraj have been a military fortress? This seems plausible, considering its multi-layered defenses, thick walls, strategically positioned watchtowers, and a gateway resembling a tactical trap. But another question arises: who would attack an oasis in such an isolated region? No records indicate major conflicts in the area, making the idea of a large-scale military fortification even harder to justify. One of Taraj's most impressive features is its water system. Despite the desert's scarcity, the inhabitants designed underground channels, reservoirs, and intelligently routed trenches that minimized water loss. This implies careful study of rare rainfall cycles, sandstone geology, and subterranean water pressure. This system far exceeds the capabilities of a small or temporary community. It shows a culture with advanced knowledge of hydraulics and geology, contradicting the common perception of nomadic desert tribes. This raises a bold hypothesis: perhaps Taraj is the remnant of a local civilization far more advanced than history has recorded. Adding to the mystery is the complete disappearance of the people who lived at Taraj. There is no evidence of major natural disasters, no signs of large-scale conflict, and no burial sites proportional to the estimated population. It seems the inhabitants left in an orderly and silent manner, abandoning the massive structure and leaving behind a question that remains unanswered. Some modern theories propose that Taraj may have been a significant ceremonial center where rituals related to water the sun or trade cycles were performed. The precision of its sandstone architecture leads some researchers to wonder whether the community possessed advanced astronomical or mathematical knowledge. Although no direct evidence supports this, the craftsmanship sometimes evokes comparisons with civilizations like ancient Egypt or the Nabateans at Petra. Yet Taraj remains distinct. It lacks decoration symbols or cultural imprints, leaving only its engineering as evidence of its creators. Ultimately, the disappearance of Taraj from historical records makes it a nearly perfect mystery. A grand structure, advanced techniques, clear strategic layout, and sophisticated water system all should have made it prominent. Yet it vanished entirely from written history. This silence has turned Taraj into a puzzle that modern archaeology still struggles to piece together. Looking at the sandstone walls, one sees not just advanced engineering, but a story buried beneath desert sands for thousands of years, a story of a talented, disciplined, and enigmatic community that left almost no trace except for stone blocks defying time itself. Perhaps these stones, with their strength, precision, and improbability, serve as a reminder that human history still contains vast, unfilled gaps, and Taraj stands as one of the clearest proofs of that enduring mystery. What do you think truly happened to the mysterious community that once built the Taraj fortified oasis settlement? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might be the key to unlocking a new theory behind this ancient mystery. On the windswept island of Westray, in the Orkney archipelago, the archaeological site of Links of Knowth has yielded one of the most striking discoveries in Scottish archaeology. Small stone figurines with human faces, considered the oldest such depictions ever found in the region. As archaeologists excavated layer upon layer of this Neolithic community, they uncovered not only architectural traces, tools, and evidence of daily life, but also tiny objects carrying immense cultural weight, stylized human figurines carved with minimalist yet strangely expressive lines, as if containing a message that transcends time. These figurines date to around 3,000 years before the Common Era, and from the moment they were unearthed, they disrupted previous assumptions about the aesthetic thinking and spiritual beliefs of Neolithic people in Orkney. Their uniqueness lies not only in their age, but in their artistic style, just a few incised strokes to form deep-set eyes, a protruding nose, and a flat facial plane, yet they evoke a palpable sense of presence. In an era when figurative art was often abstract or exaggerated, this deliberate minimalism appears both unusual and highly symbolic. Amid all these discoveries, none drew as much attention as the Westray wife, a rare artifact depicting not only a face, but also part of a body, complete with patterns resembling clothing or adornment. Many researchers believe this is not merely a female figurine, but possibly a representation of a sacred figure, or even a form of deity. Yet the truth remains beyond explanation. There are no ancient texts, no ritual signs, no specialized tools directly linked to these figurines. Every detail that modern scholars attempt to decipher only leads to more questions rather than answers. What deepens the mystery of Links of Notland is the context in which these small figurines were discovered. They were not placed in prominent positions or clear ritual spaces, but appeared hidden beneath house floors, inside small crevices, even within layers of soil mixed among everyday domestic remains. This creates a major paradox. If the figurines held ritual importance, why were they not displayed? If they were toys or ordinary objects, why were they concealed as if someone did not want them found? Or perhaps the act of hiding them was itself part of a ritual, an intentional act of spiritual significance that we no longer understand. The value of the Links of Notland figurines also lies in their surprising stylistic diversity. Some have sideways faces, others forward-facing. Some are thick and block-like, others thin and plate-shaped. Many feature geometric patterns whose meanings remain entirely obscure. With no clear common denominator, scholars question whether multiple artisans with distinct styles existed within the community, or whether the figurines represent different social groups, ritual roles, or divine forms. Some even suggest that the patterns might constitute a symbolic language of the ancient inhabitants of Orkney, one for which no deciphering clues survive today. Yet all these characteristics merely set the stage for the greatest and most baffling question surrounding the Links of Notland figurines. What were they used for? Their nature, craftsmanship, find locations, and quantity offer no definitive explanation. There are no signs of sacrificial rituals, no altars, no identifiable religious spaces in the settlement linked to them. This makes their true function a mystery that generations of archaeologists have been unable to resolve. Some theories propose that they were protective household deities placed beneath the floor to bless the family. Others believe they may represent ancestors, serving as a link between the living and the dead. Certain scholars of ancient religion propose that the figurines were used in rites of passage, coming of age, marriage, childbirth, or transitions through significant life stages. They may even have been involved in healing rituals or spiritual communication. But the difficulty lies in the complete absence of direct evidence. No burn marks, no offerings, no ritual chambers, no repeated patterns to support these theories. All of this preserves their function as an almost untouched enigma. Some researchers have ventured even bolder ideas that the figurines may have been effigies used in exorcistic rituals, objects meant to hold curses, representations of specific individuals or notable events, or simplified vessels intended to contain spirits according to ancient beliefs. Each theory is compelling in its own way, yet none is strong enough to stand as a definitive conclusion. This ambiguity is precisely what makes Section 6 the enigma of their true function, the most challenging and fascinating area for scholars to explore. Placing the links of Knowth figurines within the broader context of Neolithic Orkney, a society capable of building monumental structures like Skara Brae, the Ring of Brodgar, and the Standing Stones of Stennis, further reinforces the idea that this was a community with an exceptionally complex, symbolic worldview. They worked stone with remarkable sophistication, built astronomical structures, and developed ritual architecture. It is entirely plausible, then, that these small figurines formed the final fragments of an intricate belief system now lost to time, a system in which symbols were not meant to be displayed publicly, but hidden, protected, or reserved for select members of society. This idea gains support from the fact that many figurines appear intentionally buried as though they needed to be placed correctly to fulfill their role within the ancient cosmology. Thus, the greatest mystery is not only what were they used for, but also who was allowed to know what they were used for. It is this unique elusiveness that sets the links of Knowth figurines apart from other famous ancient figurines like the Venus of Willendorf or the Ain Ghazal statues, objects that, although mysterious, generally fit within known contexts of fertility, ancestry, or ritual practices. In contrast, the links of Knowth figurines defy all conventional categories. They are not large enough for worship, not small enough to be simple toys, not similar enough to suggest a unified ritual purpose, and not different enough to indicate multiple functions. They exist like fragmented memories of a civilization that left no written record. Their silence is precisely what makes them one of the deepest archaeological mysteries in the United Kingdom. Even today, as scientists continue examinations using cutting-edge technologies such as microscopic surface analysis, 3D reconstruction, and cross-regional symbolic comparisons, no results have yet penetrated the veil of secrecy surrounding their function. These small figurines seem not merely to be artifacts, but reminders of the limits of modern understanding when confronting the imagination and spirituality of ancient humanity. And perhaps it is precisely because they remain undeciphered that the links of Knowth figurines are so compelling. Minimalist faces with profound presence, tiny symbols carrying something beyond our reach, artifacts whose true purpose may forever remain buried beneath the soil and stone of Westray Island. What do you think the links of Knowth figurines were truly created for ritual purposes, protection, ancestral symbolism, or an entirely different function we have yet to imagine? Share your thoughts in the comments below. On the edge of the arid Sahara Desert, where scorching winds sweep across endless dunes like flowing golden silk, the Kumbi Saleh ruins remain as the lingering shadow of a once brilliant capital of the ancient Ghana Empire, a civilization that astonished Muslim merchants with its wealth as if the land itself were covered in gold. What makes it especially remarkable is that for centuries, the true location of this capital existed only in vague references by Arab historians, making it more legend than geographic fact. Ancient accounts describe it as the political and commercial center of West Africa, consisting of two separate cities lying side by side, one belonging to the Ghanaian king, the other to a community of Muslim merchants. Yet for hundreds of years, no one knew exactly where it had been, and only in the 20th century was the site identified as Kumbi Saleh, though debate continues. This uncertainty gives every stone and every collapsed wall an aura of unresolved mystery. What makes Kumbi Saleh even more astonishing is its vast desert city architecture, far exceeding the technical capabilities expected of its era. When archaeologists first began excavations, they were stunned to find an urban layout planned with such precision it seemed to have been built by a civilization with advanced structural and scientific knowledge, something rarely associated with a harsh desert environment where sandstorms constantly erode everything. Massive stone walls so large, it is difficult to imagine medieval people transporting and assembling them in the desert stand as silent witnesses. Straight streets stretching across barren sands reveal that ancient Ghanaians possessed an urban planning mindset centuries ahead of their time. Residential zones built in grid patterns and immense administrative religious complexes force scholars to ask, how could a civilization not recognized for advanced engineering construct such a durable and sophisticated city in the heart of the Sahara? The walls, constructed of large stones without mortar, have endured for thousands of years despite sandstorms and climate shifts. Columns, foundations, materials, and joining techniques display an unexpected finesse and accuracy. Some structures are so large that modern researchers must use advanced equipment simply to map them, yet still struggle to understand how ancient builders calculated their structural integrity. Moreover, sustaining a city of thousands in an extremely arid region would have required systems for water supply, food storage, spatial organization, and internal transportation far beyond the typical concept of a medieval desert city. This raises a cascade of questions. Did the ancient Ghana Empire possess technologies that history never recorded, or did they belong to a broader network of trade knowledge and innovation far more advanced than we imagined? These massive structures are not merely signs of wealth, they are reminders that the people of this land built a city that defied natural limits, challenging modern scholars to rethink long-held assumptions about West Africa's ancient engineering. Kumbi Saleh becomes even stranger when its ruins reveal a rare twin-city model nearly unprecedented in the region. One city served as the Ghanaian king's capital, with palaces, ceremonial plazas, granaries, and administrative buildings. The other was distinctly Islamic, with a large mosque, bustling markets, and residential zones for North African merchants. The peculiarity lies in how these two worlds were simultaneously separate and interdependent, flourishing together. There is no evidence of religious conflict or power struggles, contradicting patterns commonly observed in ancient multicultural urban centers elsewhere. Historians are baffled by this unusual harmony. How did two communities with different religions, laws, and customs coexist while jointly elevating the city to its golden age? Was there a special system of governance, an unspoken pact, or an advanced social model beyond our current understanding? Another major mystery is Kumbi Saleh's extraordinary wealth. Ancient accounts describe the king as possessing so much gold that he could decorate entire buildings with it, and the city was the prime gold trading hub of West Africa. Yet excavations reveal something odd. There are no nearby gold mines, no evidence of large-scale metalworking, and no definitive treasure caches. Only small artifacts remain insufficient to represent the legendary riches described. This raises enduring questions. Where is Ghana's treasure? Are underground vaults still buried beneath the desert sands? Or did the people of Ghana operate a secretive trade network, making Kumbi Saleh the distribution center rather than the source of gold? Another puzzling structure is the massive wall encircling part of the ruins. If it were meant for defense, why is there no evidence of warfare? If it were merely a cultural religious boundary between the two cities, why was it built on such a monumental scale? There is no clear answer. Researchers have debated its purpose for decades, yet every theory remains incomplete. In the silence of the desert, the wall stands as a symbol of unresolved questions. The greatest enigma is Kumbi Saleh's abrupt disappearance from historical records. A city once described as an international commercial center, constantly bustling with merchants, vanished without trace. There are no signs of a major battle, no evidence of natural disaster, no indication of epidemic. Everything simply ceased, as if the city were erased from the map. This silence only deepens the mystery what truly happened to the golden capital of the Ghana Empire. Was it destroyed, abandoned due to declining trade, or was something entirely unrecorded by history responsible for its fall? What makes Kumbi Saleh even more enigmatic is that most of the city remains buried under desert sand, unexcavated. The areas uncovered so far represent only a tiny portion of the original metropolis. What has been found is merely the surface of a far larger architectural network. Palaces, treasure houses, streets, ceremonial zones, and perhaps secrets the ancients intended never to reveal all may still lie hidden beneath the Sahara. Each new excavation feels like opening a doorway into a forgotten civilization, one whose engineering surpassed its age and whose mysteries of power, trade, and religion remain unsolved. Thus, the Kumbi Saleh ruins are not simply remnants of an ancient city. They are a symbol of history's untold chapters, a reminder that civilizations may have achieved complexities far beyond what modern humanity assumes. And across the vast Sahara Desert, the ruins still stand, as though waiting for the day their true story will finally emerge. In your opinion, what hidden mystery of Kumbi Saleh might still be waiting beneath the deep sands of the Sahara? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Kenko Rock Sanctuary is one of the strangest structures left behind by the Inca civilization situated within the sacred lands of Cusco. Although it is not as famous as Machu Picchu or Sacsayhuaman Kenko, carries a series of mysteries that archaeologists have yet to fully unravel. This is a site where every carved detail, every stone surface, and every winding channel raises questions about the knowledge, beliefs, and technological capabilities far beyond the common understanding of the Inca. So what do you think? Is the Kenko Rock Sanctuary truly evidence of a lost stoneworking technology, or are we simply witnessing the exceptional craftsmanship of the Inca? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The most remarkable aspect is that the entire sanctuary was carved almost entirely from a single, massive, monolithic rock rather than assembled from smaller stones. This shows that the Inca adopted an approach very different from typical megalithic constructions. They did not build by stacking stones, but transformed the rock itself into a sacred architectural entity. This method of stone manipulation created a structure that is both natural and architectural, forming a unified whole that immediately reveals its immense spiritual significance. On the summit of the rock lies a system of zigzag channels carved directly into the surface, resembling a network meant to guide flowing liquids from top to bottom. Many theories suggest these channels were used to conduct water, chicha, or even blood during sacrificial rites. What makes them astonishing is their even curvature and consistent depth, indicating highly precise craftsmanship. How the Inca, armed only with stone or bronze tools, could create such deep, sharp, and smooth channels remains a challenging question. Beneath the surface is an underground chamber that intensifies the mystery. Entering it, one steps into a dark room carved entirely from the monolithic stone. The walls are unbelievably smooth, the cuts perfectly straight, and the rounded corners appear as though polished by modern machinery. At the center stands a cold, smooth stone altar, believed to have been the site of important rituals such as sacrifice, mummification, or the spiritual consecration of Inca royalty. Natural light enters precisely onto the altar through a narrow slit in the rock at certain times of the year, demonstrating that the Inca integrated astronomical knowledge into their architecture, creating harmony between ritual practice and cosmic order. Outside, Kenko opens into a semicircular ritual arena resembling a plaza where the community could gather to observe religious events. The Inca made careful use of the natural terrain and refined it with deliberate modifications, creating a striking balance between nature and human craftsmanship. Yet, all of these features are not the greatest mystery of Kenko. What renders the site most controversial and distinguishes it from many other Inca monuments is its ability to produce smooth, mold-like, curved stone surfaces, a technique far beyond what is considered normal for its era. Many surfaces at Kenko are so smooth that they bear no trace of traditional stone chiseling. There are no hammer marks, no chisel scars, no irregularities typical of primitive stonework. Instead, the stone surfaces curve continuously, flowing naturally as if the craftsman were shaping a soft material like clay or plaster. Some corners are perfectly rounded, while other surfaces appear as if ground by high-precision mechanical tools. This phenomenon has inspired numerous hypotheses. Some propose the Inca possessed a special alloy more efficient at cutting stone than bronze, though there is no archaeological evidence to support this. Others suggest they use sandstone combined with water for constant grinding, yet this method cannot account for the deep uniform curves observed at Kenko. Another group of researchers speculates that the Inca may have known a chemical or thermal technique capable of temporarily softening stone. If rock could be transformed into a semi-liquid state, it would allow artisans to shape pull or smooth surfaces before they hardened again. Though speculative, this idea provides a plausible explanation for the appearance of surfaces that seem to have melted and re-solidified. The ritual channels atop the rock also share this phenomenon. Instead of chisel marks, they are smooth, continuous depressions, as if the rock softened before being shaped into zigzag form. The entire underground chamber appears to have been produced with a technique unlike any documented Inca method. Its smoothness, continuity, and precision evoke comparisons to other mysterious megalithic sites around the world, places where ancient people seem to have achieved feats far surpassing the capabilities of their eras. This characteristic, the seamless molded quality of the stone, raises profound questions about whether Kenko was purely an Inca creation or perhaps inherited from an earlier, more technologically advanced civilization. Many scholars suggest that ancient Andean knowledge of stone manipulation may have been lost after the Spanish conquest, leaving us only with the results but not the methods. And this is the greatest mystery of Kenko, not what was built, but how it was created. Despite existing for centuries, Kenko left no written Inca records describing its purpose or construction methods. This has led generations of scholars to wonder, was it an elite ceremonial center, a place to commune with Pachamama or other deities, an astronomical observatory, or perhaps a gateway connecting the three realms of the Inca cosmology? Amid countless theories, the truth remains concealed by time. But one thing is certain: Kenko is not merely a monument. It is evidence that the Inca, or even a predecessor civilization, once possessed knowledge and techniques that the modern world has yet to fully comprehend. And the technique of creating smooth, mold-like curved stone surfaces remains the key to unlocking this mystery, a secret that, even if solved, will likely remind us that ancient people were far more ingenious than we often assume. At the Huaca Prieta site along the windswept northern coast of Peru, the ancient textile fragments unearthed by archaeologists have become some of the most striking evidence of refinement and technological advancement achieved by prehistoric peoples in the Americas. What makes them stand out, and even more astonishing than any other contemporary artifact, is the weaving tradition, more than 4,000 years old, that nonetheless reaches an almost unbelievable level of sophistication, as though they were not created by a pre-ceramic community unfamiliar with pottery or foundational industrial systems, but rather by skilled artisans belonging to a fully developed civilization. What do you think allowed the people of Huaca Prieta to achieve such incredibly advanced and sophisticated weaving techniques far ahead of their time? Was this the result of a long-lost tradition or evidence that their culture was far more advanced than we currently understand? Share your thoughts in the comments below. When researchers first examined the fragments woven from extremely fine, uniform native cotton fibers processed with a level of precision requiring high technical skill, they immediately asked, how could a community that lived primarily by fishing and gathering possess such advanced textile craftsmanship? These fragments date back 4,000 to 6,000 years, appearing at a time when most cultures around the world had not yet developed standard weaving technologies, let alone produced complex patterns or multi-layered weaving structures. What is most surprising is the precision visible in every thread. The fibers are neither coarse nor loose, nor degraded, like most organic materials typically found in archaeological contexts, but instead remain sharp and clear enough to reveal exactly how the artisans twisted, pulled, and wove them in a systematic manner. The cotton fibers were spun to a near-perfect uniform fineness, suggesting that the people of Huaca Prieta possessed either sophisticated tools or highly refined techniques perfected over many generations. This stands in complete contrast to the common understanding of a pre-ceramic society, one without pottery metal cities or established social hierarchies. Yet these very textiles are forcing archaeologists to reconsider old assumptions. The weaving techniques used were not basic or rudimentary. They were purposeful, complex methods requiring control over tension, multi-directional interlacing to create raised and recessed patterns, and deliberate visual composition that produced clear imagery, even when using only natural cotton and mineral-based pigments. This has led many scholars to believe that the weaving tradition could not have emerged spontaneously in such an early period. It must have been rooted in a long tradition, or even inherited from an older unknown culture no longer documented in the archaeological record. When the fragments were brought into laboratories for analysis, the most shocking discovery was not only their age, but their extraordinary uniformity and unexpected durability. Even after millennia, the fiber structures remained tightly bound, demonstrating that the people of Huaca Prieta had discovered ways to treat cotton with techniques far beyond anything assumed possible at the time. Some theories propose that they may have used mineral-rich substances or ion-heavy seawater to strengthen the fibers, but there is still no definitive explanation. The existence of such high-quality textiles raises significant questions about the complexity of Huaca Prieta society. Producing textiles of this level required many hours of labor, exceptional patience, and specialized knowledge, characteristics typical of a community with clearly defined divisions of labor. Researchers have even begun to speculate that there may have been a class of artisans or a dedicated group who spent their entire time weaving for ritual purposes, authority symbols, or religious expression. This theory aligns perfectly with the mysterious motifs found in the textiles, including serpents, birds, and hybrid creatures believed to be linked to early Andean ritualism or belief systems. These motifs were unlikely to be accidental or merely decorative. Instead, they reflect a sophisticated symbolic framework that may represent predecessors to later mythological systems in the region. But returning to the central question, how could they achieve such extraordinary weaving mastery more than 4,000 years ago? Detailed studies reveal the use of multiply spinning, a highly advanced technique that many ancient civilizations only developed thousands of years later. This demonstrates deep understanding of cotton's properties, tensile strength, softness, and absorption behavior. These ancient artisans were not merely spinning fibers, they were sculpting them. It is no coincidence that archaeologists examining the fragments under microscopes concluded that their level of precision nearly matches medieval hand-weaving standards, an astonishing achievement for a culture without pottery, metalworking, or writing. One of the most significant findings involves microscopic manipulation marks. Some fragments show ultra-small knots used to maintain structural integrity, while others reveal subtle fiber compression methods to create light-dark contrasts in patterns without adding pigment. These are not simple techniques. Many modern hand weavers would struggle to replicate them with comparable precision. Such discoveries force scholars to question whether Huaca Prieta artisans possessed long-standing trade secrets passed down through generations, or whether they were isolated geniuses responding to their environment. Yet the most astonishing point remains: all of these techniques appear long before the people of Huaca Prieta produced any pottery, typically one of the earliest craft traditions to emerge. This completely contradicts the usual linear progression of cultural development. Instead of evolving from simple techniques to complex ones, Huaca Prieta seems to begin at the peak of sophistication, leaving behind no intermediate stages. The absence of transitional artifacts prevents archaeologists from tracing how these weaving techniques emerged. They appear almost fully formed, as though inherited from a mysterious, undocumented source. All these factors elevate the 4,000-year-old weaving traditions of Huaca Prieta into one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of the Americas. The textile fragments are not merely material remnants, they challenge our fundamental assumptions about how civilizations develop. They force us to ask whether history is truly linear, or whether advanced craft traditions may have existed in cultures that later vanished without leaving durable traces. And if the artisans of Huaca Prieta were capable of producing such masterpieces thousands of years ago, how many other secrets of humanity still lie buried beneath the sands, waiting to be uncovered? The Huaca Viejo Pyramid is one of the most iconic structures of the Moche civilization on the northern coast of Peru, and simultaneously one of the archaeological sites that has astonished researchers with its level of preservation, religious depth, and sophistication far beyond its era. When people mention Huaca Viejo, they immediately think of massive adobe walls, mysterious rituals, traces of royal authority, and glimpses into a civilization that once flourished brilliantly in the arid desert landscape of Peru's coast. But the most remarkable feature, the one that makes Huaca Viejo a truly unique phenomenon in South American archaeology, is the mochi reliefs and murals preserved in vivid color after more than 1,500 years, a feat that surpasses the endurance of time and the harsh destruction of the desert environment. The walls are covered with mythological figures, warriors, supernatural beings, human forms, animal symbols, and ceremonial scenes painted in striking shades of red, yellow, blue, and white that remain unbelievably bright, as though the mochi artists painted them only a few decades ago. This strange longevity has raised countless questions that modern science still cannot fully answer. How did the mochi create pigments so durable? What techniques did they use to bind these colors onto adobe walls, a material easily worn down by wind and rain? And is there a hidden secret within the chemical composition of moche pigments that modern laboratories have yet to uncover? These questions create a constant veil of mystery around the site, making every wall of Huaca el Viejo feel like a doorway into ancient knowledge still waiting to be deciphered. As visitors move deeper into the pyramid complex, they can clearly sense the breath of an ancient world revived through symbolic imagery. These scenes are not merely decorative, they are a sacred language, recording the complex spiritual system of the moche. Warriors holding spears, masked deities hybrid, human-animal beings, and prisoners bound for sacrifice, all are pieces of a spiritual world where religion, power, and warfare are intertwined. But the strangest aspect of all is the color, not only still visible, but maintaining depth and luminosity, giving the impression that the images are alive. Some reliefs still show sharp contours, raised textures, and impressively smooth transitions between hues, a technique many ancient civilizations never achieved. Several experts believe the secret lies in mineral pigments mixed with a special organic binder, possibly tree resin, animal blood, or an unidentified compound. Others propose that the extremely dry climate of the Trujillo Desert naturally mummified the murals, preserving their brilliance. Yet if climate alone were responsible, other adobe structures in Peru should exhibit similar preservation, which they do not. Thus, the secret behind moche color remains unsolved. And the more one observes these murals, the more they seem like a long story, one whose first chapter is visible, but whose remaining chapters lie hidden somewhere beneath the sands of time. Beyond the enchanting beauty of its murals, the architectural structure of Huaca el Viejo has also astonished scholars. This pyramid was built entirely from adobe mud brick, a soft material prone to collapse under rain or moisture. Yet the temple has stood for centuries, enduring floods, earthquakes, and Peru's harsh coastal climate. Archaeologists discovered that the moche built the monument through multiple construction cycles, deliberately burying older layers to create foundations for newer ones. This layered overlayer method strengthened the structure over time. Interestingly, each layer features its own artistic style and palette, reflecting shifts in ritual practice or changes in ruling elites. After examining the architectural complexity of the pyramid, researchers uncovered evidence of human sacrifice rituals, adding another veil of mystery to Huaca el Viejo. Skeletal remains showing signs of combat bindings or cutting were found in chambers of sacrifice ritual rooms used by the moche to offer victims to their gods on special occasions. These scenes also appear in murals, proving the connection between artistic depiction and religious practice. Some theories suggest that sacrifices occurred seasonally or were linked to the El Niño phenomenon, which caused catastrophic floods and droughts in Peru. This idea implies that the moche viewed sacrifice as a way to balance the cosmos. However, no one knows whether these acts were purely spiritual or tools of political control for the ruling class. This mystery deepened further when in 2006, archaeologists uncovered the mummy of Señora de Cao, a high-ranking female ruler of the moche, at the very site of Huaca el Viejo. Her body was astonishingly well preserved and covered in powerful tattoos of snakes, jaguars, suns, and warrior symbols. This discovery shocked scholars because it proved that women could hold supreme political and religious power within moche society, something previously thought impossible. Even more puzzling, her body displayed extraordinary preservation despite the absence of sophisticated embalming techniques like those used in ancient Egypt, leading researchers to speculate about the mysterious natural conditions that prevented her body from decaying for centuries. Some hypothesize that hyper-arid conditions and mineral salts in the earth created a natural mummification, but no explanation has been fully confirmed. Huaca el Viejo is also believed to be connected to the Moche's observations of water cycles and natural disasters. Many murals depict sea creatures, floods, and chaotic natural scenes, leading to the theory that the site served not only as a religious sanctuary, but also as an ancient weather observatory where priests used symbols and rituals to interpret or appease the power of El Niño. Notably, the complex contains multiple overlapping architectural layers, each built perhaps for religious reasons or because external layers were damaged by disasters and needed reconstruction. With no definitive explanation, the mystery continues to grow. Despite more than 3 decades of excavation, a significant portion of Huaca el Viejo remains buried beneath the desert sands, meaning many secrets have yet to emerge. Archaeologists believe that hidden chambers, intact murals, and even additional royal burials may still lie underground. This makes Huaca el Viejo feel like an unopened treasure chest, with each excavation season uncovering a new chapter in the story of the Moche civilization. And this sense of incompleteness is precisely what gives the complex its beauty and vitality, as though it is patiently waiting for the right moment to reveal the remaining mysteries time has concealed. With all these elements, Huaca el Viejo remains one of the ancient world's most vibrant temple complexes, its enduring murals serving as the soul of the site and a profound testament to Moche artistry, intellect, and mystique. Among countless archaeological sites worldwide, few evoke such a powerful sense that the past is still present, and Huaca el Viejo is one of those rare places of vast memory chamber where every surviving color is a cryptic message the Moche left for future generations. With so much of Huaca el Viejo still buried beneath the desert sands, what secrets of the Moche civilization do you think are still waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below.